Welcome to the Player versus Picture podcast. Today we have what we haven't done in quite a while is Magic Talk, and it's not spoilers. It's just going to be talking about the new set and cards that we like, or in my case, cards that are going to go in my specific EDH decks. So, good old Magic Talk today about the new set. We have Taylor here. Say hey.
Hello, hi. It's me.
Perfect. And we only have Carver as our Magic Boy. Say hey.
Hey guys, Carver here.
There he is. Daniel was going to be here, and he sold his car this morning, and at the last minute got a call from the guy that he just sold it to saying that the car doesn't work right. So he's bringing it back. So Daniel's got to deal with some...
Godspeed, dude.
Yeah,
I hope that ends well.
Some private market car selling bullshit. This is why we just sold ours to Carvana.
I just explode mine with a rocket launcher.
Okay, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's a good. That's how I get rid of most of my stuff. Just explode it.
So, yeah, I guess we're just going to get right into it. We're talking about Lorwyn Eclipsed, which is I want to say it's the newest set of Magic, but I honestly don't know because they release a set every other fucking day, and there might be another set that's released already. I don't know.
Now, I will say they're already spoiling the Commander decks for the Marvel set that is next,
God,
so I don't blame you. But the set did come out 7 days ago, as of this recording. So basically, it's the newest
Wizards of the Coast just nostalgia farms old heads like us who hate this new trend of like crazy universes beyond oversaturation. So the last set we were actually excited about was the Return to Cons, and that was
holy shit. Is that true?
Yeah, was that July? No, was that before July? I don't know when that came out, but it was sometime last year.
Yeah, it was fall of last year, something like September, maybe August.
Damn.
Was it really? Well,
because Final Fantasy was June. That's the only reason I know that and I think it came out. That was the set after that.
It's called Dragonstorm, right? Tarkir Dragonstorm.
Yeah.
April 2025.
Yeah.
So
it's April.
This was in spring.
Final Fantasy. Okay.
Yeah, spring is when we. So yeah, the last time we were excited about a set was almost a full year ago. And it was a set that they are returning to a plane that we've been to and that we know we like. They're doing it again. Lorwyn came out in fucking like 2011 or 10 or something. But this one, it's been a long time and it's one of the most requested planes to go back to, and Wizards finally did it. And frankly, they did a great job. The set is really cool. It's got great designs, and I'm a huge fan of this set.
I would just add that yes, especially when I see some of the art, there's still some of that what I call like modern Magic digital art, but then there are some that truly look like those weird watercolor paintings from the original. Lorwyn has such a distinct. There's at least some of the art on it has just this weird. The only cards that look like that are in Lorwyn sets, and
I mean, they brought back fucking Dan Frazier. Are you kidding me?
Probably not. I don't actually know who that is.
Holy shit. He hasn't done art since Time Spiral, but he's like an OG artist. He's been doing stuff since like Mercadian and Ice Age and shit. Wow, yeah, they got him back. I mean, there's Carl Critchlow, there's Omar Rayon, who did art in the original Lorwyn. Like, they have some heavy hitters in this set, and the art... Like 90% of the cards look awesome, I think. Very cool.
Carver.
Oh no, I was waiting for my turn here. Yeah, it's wonderful. I think going back to I was getting there. No, I was gonna say this is the first set's playing on what you said, Kyle. That I don't even think I would have thought to go to a pre-release for any set. And I don't know the last time I went. I think it was a Magic 2020 core set.
Oh my god!
Was the last time I went to one. Yeah, but I saw some of those spoilers, not all of them, because I wanted to kind of have myself be a little bit open going into it, a little unspoiled. And it just had me excited. So, yeah, finally went to a pre-release. There was 10 people there, which, it's a pre-release. It's a 2026 pre-release. But it was a blast.
People sound small.
It is, yeah. It's not the numbers that there used to be, but it was but still, it was a blast to go. Played a blue-red elementals deck focused on casting spells CMC 4 or greater.
Sick.
which ended up playing really well. Like I had enough of that synergy where it worked out. And I got to see a lot of other synergies, like the games I played against people, all of them were very interesting. People doing like the Merfolk tapped mechanic, you know what I mean, with Springleaf Drum or convoking things. So that was pretty awesome to see. Another guy had like a Kithkin deck, which was pretty synergistic and powerful. And then I played against an Elves deck that was really synergistic and powerful. So yeah, the whole experience was just really awesome. And so, yeah, I'm excited to talk about the set at large and some of the cards I really like from it. So
sick. Yeah, the problem with a set like this though is the tribal aspect to it, where it's, you know, red black is heavily focused on, or red is heavily focused on goblins. Black is you know, elves and goblins, and blue-white is merfolk. So as I was looking through all these cards, trying to find ones that I would add to my deck, I just immediately had to discount a huge number, because it's like, do something based on goblins. It's like, I don't have a goblin deck, so I can't use this card. It's just pointless. So I did, you know, that is the one downside about these kindred-focused sets. But other than that, I mean, you know, in a vacuum, it's very well designed and really cool stuff. But when it comes to looking for cards that I want to add to my decks, a lot of them just suddenly fell short because they have the word elf in it, and I don't have an elf deck, so this card is irrelevant.
I find it interesting to think about the type of Magic players we were when Lorwyn 1 came out versus how you look at Magic.
Kithkin boy right here.
Yeah,
they were my dogs.
It's like, and that's exactly what I'm thinking about, is like the way we would have evaluated like this set about it being good or bad is like, oh, you're right, that tribal thing being kind of bad for those decks outside of there. But when you're so new, it's like you only wanted to play with the new toy, so you kind of, that was almost not even a consideration. So I don't know, I just random thoughts.
Yeah, that's a good point. Helpful. Like in Kamigawa, I was all about ninjas and samurai. Then
spirits.
Yeah, you were all in on spirits. Then, I guess by the time Ravnica came around, I was just Golgari, which wasn't specific to a tribe, but that wasn't our fault because that's how the set was designed. It was based on colors and not on card type.
I mean, that might as well be kind of how Ravnica was designed, right? Think of black-green as a creature type is kind of...
It was like mostly zombies anyway, but yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, well...
We have a very big brain.
I'm just going to go for it and talk about the first card that I was both excited by the design and piqued my interest for putting it into Cedrus. I'm going to talk about cards I want to put in Cedrus first. Cedrus is my one true love in life. It goes Cedrus, then it goes Lorwyn, then it goes Yuki, then it goes like family members, etc.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, Cedrus is my guy. He's the Grixis general that unearths things. It's a reanimator deck. The first card is Omni Changeling from Lorwyn Eclipsed. Omni Changeling. It is 3 colorless and double blue. It is a shapeshifter. It's a 0/0, but it's a changeling. It has Convoke, and you may have this creature enter as a copy of any creature on the battlefield except it has Changeling. This card is so fucking cool. Clones are a huge archetype in Magic. There have been many, many, many clones in the history of Magic. There's probably like 50 to 100 different types of clone creatures, cloning effects in the game. But this is the first one that's ever had Convoke. There's been ones, you know, like the Carver, you'll know the name, I can't remember it. The guy it's 3 colorless and a Phyrexian blue mana.
Phyrexian Metamorph.
Phyrexian Metamorph. Like, that is one of the more popular ones because it's cheap. It's always 3 mana. There's also the one from the original concept that's 2 mana, but when it becomes targeted by anything, it instantly dies, so it's a little bit fragile, but it is a really cheap clone. And both of those cards, Phyrexian Metamorph and the 2 mana one, were very popular. This guy has the potential to be 0 mana. A combo I thought of just off the top of my head was Siege Gang Commander with Omni Changeling. If anyone's running an Izzet, you know, or a token goblin-y deck and you play Siege Gang Commander, he produces 3 goblins. So you play him, you tap down him and the goblins he produces, and Omni Changeling is 1 fucking mana.
Well, no. You have to still pay.
Does he make 2?
2 blue. Yeah, you need 2 blue.
Oh, you're totally right.
But the point still stands. I mean, there's still.
And there's plenty of blue token producing things like from the Aether Revolt times and Kaladesh times. There's cards that produce blue cards that produce tokens. Either way, like in the right deck, this thing is going to be 2, 1, or 0 mana almost all the time. Now, the reason I like clones in Cedrus is because I unearth creatures. They only stay in play for 1 turn, unless of course I have ways to get around that, which I do. But cloning is a way you can do it. You like unearth a creature and then its lifespan is limited, but then you play a clone to clone this, 1 turn event creature. That creature then gets exiled, but then the clone cloned it. So now you have it permanently as well. I think there could be some fun synergy here, and I have quite a few creatures in Cedrus that just sit around to help the rest of the board. So not everything is going to be a giant bomb that I want to attack with right away. So there will be cards like Bog Witch or Cedrus himself that I will be willing to tap to channel into this thing and convoke it down to a cheaper cost. In the end, I don't think he'll make the deck, but it is a card that not only did I just love the design of it, but it seems strong enough to warrant consideration for Cedrus. So that's my spiel on Omni Changeling.
I think automatically love all changelings. So cool with me. I love the art. I don't know what it is. I just think the changelings all look so stupid, and I love them so much.
Yeah, they're very derpy.
What I think is fun about any changeling is oftentimes the typal effect ends up being really like creating these weird what if one-off scenarios that are like kind of just weird kind of interactions you don't think about, because like having every creature type is like weirdly an interesting way to interface with a lot of Magic throughout history.
It's
just because like some creature types like don't like or like having like a zombie with the clone effect is much more interesting than just like, I don't know, a sloth with a clone effect. And like, I don't know, I get excited anytime a changeling has a cool ability on it that isn't like priced out of being playable. So though anything that you find interesting in Cedrus is automatically the most annoying piece of shit garbage card ever printed. So I automatically hate this thing. Because there's no way you play a card, you're like, oh, let me play this fairly and interestingly. No, it's the most annoying. No, I'm going to do it. You lose your whole board. Your turn ends. My turn again. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
No, Glissa was my cancer deck that I disassembled a while ago. Cedrus is just like, he's a more badass Timmy deck. I get to slam giant bombs, but they're dirt cheap, and they come down with haste, and they scare you,
There should be a new archetype that's a Timmy, but instead the Timmy bullied you when you first started playing the game, and he got older and still stayed hot instead of like peaking in high school.
Whoa, it's the Tommy archetype. It's the Tommy.
See, that's why I hate Cedrus and your stuff. Is like, you're right. He might not be the worst, but he was a piece of shit when I was 16. And he hasn't stopped. All right.
It's like the Sid archetype, Sid from Toy Story.
Yeah. Come on.
He's just like an evil little piece of shit, but he's really just smashing his toys together. Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh,
no, there's been times where like me and Carver have played and you'll have some obscure card where it's like destroy a non-demon and it works 99% of the time, and suddenly you go, target the Omni Changeling thing, and you're like, wait, no, it is a demon, and you go, fuck, and I know exactly, as soon as you said there's these like niche random circumstances where every card type matters, those can come in handy. It's pretty cool. I've definitely experienced stuff like that.
It's dumb, but I like. I guess it's because I'm an old head. There's something about cards that require you to be paying attention to the rules and weird, like where every line matters. I kind of like more, and the way that like, Blood Moon makes you really have to understand the rules to understand how it works. I like the cards every now and then where you have to pay attention. Destroy target non-spirit. All of a sudden you need to be aware that like, oh, it says non-spirit. We always just shortcut what we think this is, like, oh, that's going in Kyle's Cedrus deck. It's probably some demon or zombie. It's probably not a spirit, but you got to pay stuff. Like, have you ever heard of the format Judge's Tower?
No.
Oh, dude, it's very funny. It's you set it up like EDH, but everyone shares one deck in the center, and it's supposed to be the most like complicated rules text types cards. And the format is every turn you have infinite mana and infinite life. You have to do every interaction you possibly can as soon as you can. And as soon as like someone catches you making a rules mistake, you're eliminated. And so it's like, and so like the idea is like you as a group of guys try to come up with the most complicated cards and like make it as weird as possible, where damage on the stack type weird interactions and where layers start to actually matter, those types of things.
Damn.
So I heard of that, and that's what made me think of this stuff, which all leads back. Sorry for that little side tangent, but yeah, look it up sometime. Judge's Tower is
sounds like a crazy format.
Yeah, I
Carver,
can
you
see
got
a
any
little dumb
thoughts?
thing to do.
It makes sense you'd play that format for training judges, but yeah, I mean, I love Omni Changeling. I actually think this will make your deck, Kyle. I mean, it's very often, in my opinion, going to cost you 3 mana, and then sometimes it's going to cost you 2 mana, and that's awesome. And then sometimes maybe even less mana than that. Like the fact that it can be less is amazing. So I don't know. I think this has a chance to make your deck for sure. Love clone effects. Love when they're pushed like this. There's an uncommon card in this set that I'm going to talk about too that's kind of on a similar wavelength, where it's like, this effect I'm shocked as an uncommon. This card feels like I get it as an uncommon, but I also would easily see this be a rare because it just feels that good. Another thing is, I'll say I played against this in a pre-release, and somebody used Omni Changeling. One of the guys I played with used it to copy a Wistfulness, and he got the benefit of casting it because he cast it for 2 blue, so he got to draw 2 cards and discard 1, which is just like a cool little thing about clones. That one might not be as cool, but he got a different one where he got the effect on Catharsis because he did this where he paid like 2 white into it. So anyway, kind of a little nifty interaction with changelings and the new elementals. Not sure if we're going to talk about those on this, but yeah, Omni Changeling, very cool card, very flexible, and I love cards like this that can just like even if 5 mana, like there's probably board states where 5 mana clone your opponent's creature that did something on enter. Not great, but like still probably okay. And then like 4 mana on rate, and then 3 mana, awesome. 2 mana, awesome. So I just like when a card like this can really scale out of control. So yeah, I'm a big fan of this one.
That's a good point too. A lot of clones, well, not a lot, but there are plenty of clones that only copy creatures you control, especially if they're trying to box in the power level of a clone. They will limit it to only your side. But this thing has Convoke, and it can clone anything in play. So yeah, if you're on the back foot because they have some monster that's smashing you and you top deck this thing, like, you suddenly just get their best creature. It's really, really, really strong.
Oh yeah.
Very cool. All right, go next, somebody.
I'll go next just because I think I'm going to pick weird cards compared to you guys. He called it. So the first one I'm going to go with is Abigail, Eloquent First. Because this is a 2 mana double white-black hybrid for a legendary bird bard with flying, first strike, and life. When Abigail enters, up to 1 target other creature loses all abilities. Put a flying counter, a first strike counter, and a lifelink counter on the creature. I just think this thing is really weird, and I don't know what it would be good in or what it does particularly well, but just like, I don't know, removing abilities and then giving something flying, first strike, lifelink feels like you can make some dumb, like 8/8 thing just all of a sudden massive swing, and like, I don't know, I just think having those 3 keywords on just like a stick is weird and cool. I don't know. And like, for me, I love gameplay styles that are really annoying, that are very like defensive, like, so like first strike, lifelink combined makes you like really hard to chip away at, and like I love being in that kind of safe position. So that's part of the reason this card speaks to me. So it kind of emphasizes this kind of tougher defense to get through, where you're just not going to get kind of hit out, like someone hits you for like 25 out of nowhere, and it's like, well, that's all right. I've been, got a pretty good. Yeah, that's Abigail, and I think pretty cool.
Yeah, this card's a racer, right? Like it's really good at like kind of what you're saying, Taylor. Like, you're giving something flying and lifelink. Almost forget first strike. Just the idea that like I'm now speaking a little bit more in limited, let's say, but the fact that you can make your 4/4 trampler into now a flying first striker, or sorry, flying lifelinker, like you just start winning that race, I feel like. Yeah, I don't know. This card is pretty sick. I do like, it's very interesting, pretty unique. 2 mana, 1/1 like its stats on its own don't sound awesome. Its ability is kind of what I think really makes it cool. And yeah, I agree. It's also a 2-drop that you're almost never playing on turn 2, which is cool. It just kind of generally like you're probably going to be chaining this with another spell, so it's like probably on a turn you 2 spell. So yeah, it's probably just going to be like an explosive fun turn whenever this card gets played. So I also like Abigail. It's a good choice, man. It's a cool card.
Yeah, I don't know that I like that it's got annoying keywords, but it's on a very easy to like kind of pick out of the sky. But like a 1/1 flyer with lifelink can do a lot of work, especially like you think about limited, like this is like a bomb in a lot of places. Like sometimes just a 1/1 flying lifelink first strike is really hard to get around most without dedicating another resource, and its ability probably got something good in the exchange. So yeah. What do you think, Kyle?
Yeah, when I obviously when I saw this card spoiled, it was very weird and interesting. They've never made a card like this before. But my first thought was also, how good actually is this? What are you really doing with it? Especially in this set where so many things have -1/-1 counters on them. So if you erase the ability on a card that's got minus counters on it, those counters are never going to go away, basically, because a lot of the cards in this set are they enter with a counter on it, and then something triggers that counter to be removed. So the idea is they're like muted in power for a little bit, and they slowly come online over time. This, you could use it offensively. It's any creature, so you could actually, if it's like, let's say your opponent has that one guy he's a like 7/7 menace for 1, and he has 6 counters on him, and they slowly get removed over time. Like, let's say you're going to lose to a 7/7 menace, but you might be able to deal with a 1/1 flying first strike lifelink. So you play Abigail, you nuke his guy, so now it's stuck with all these counters on it, and it's just a flying first strike lifelinker that's a 1/1. So you can do really weird shit like that. Erase the abilities of your opponent's cards that have a bunch of minus counters on them so they stay small. But at the same time, you could do this on your elemental incarnations, the things that, when the evoke elementals, when they enter, if you spent 2 mana of either color, you do a thing. So like you slam that thing, you get all the effects, then you play Abigail the next turn, and now your 3/5 emptiness that's not doing anything suddenly becomes a flying first strike lifelink 3/5, and you'll end the game. Like there's a lot of weird shit with this guy in this set specifically. So yeah, really cool card.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I have no idea if it's good. I think it arguably probably is not. But to me, what I like too is it's the old school Magic where like the effect, you can choose to put it onto your opponents and do this like hyper specific, I need to get around specific keyword that the other ones don't matter, or like you said, like, oh, your big bomb that's going to grow over time, I'm instead just going to lock it in as like a 1/1 instead of a thing that can grow, and that's just very interesting. Instead of it just being like, this is objectively a powerful card that makes your cards that are good gooder, and like, this is just weird and not a linear strictly better for, you have to find specific use cases for that ability. And I like those cards more, because I think that's part of the problem for me is I like cards that aren't good. I like cards that are interesting. Like I like the game design almost more than I like the actual power of cards. So that's what
lucky for you, we're kind of in an era of Magic where cards are over-designed and weird, but that makes them good as well. This one, sadly, this card is just going to be extremely popular for Voltron, because Flying First Strike Lifelink is a ridiculous trio of keywords on a 2-drop. I mean, you play this thing and just load it up with auras and win the game on turn 4. Like that's how this guy's going to be played in EDH anyway. Especially because his ability says up to 1 other target creature. So you can choose 0 and just play this as a triple keyword, beat stick. But it will have random utility. Like there's even a card in this set. It's a 4-mana 6/6. And at the beginning of your turn, you have to blight 1 or you lose 3 life. So suddenly that guy, you get rid of that downside of having to weaken your board or lose life. You just now get a fucking 6/6 flying first strike lifelink. That's the kind of stuff that's really cool in this set.
I mean, there's a lot of demons from Magic history that this card pairs really well with.
True.
Negative ability, like Desecration Demon is one that comes off the top of my head. A 6/6 for 4 mana that normally your opponent can just sack, any opponent can sack a creature and tap at each combat, but then Abigail can get around that. So, but I agree. Abigail definitely looks like either a keyword soup EDH deck, just because she has 3 of them, or like Voltron type stuff. So maybe she's a little bit tread, like you kind of already know where she's going. In EDH, I don't know. Maybe you could use it as like as a group hug type thing, or like maybe more like king making or something. You like have her come in and be like, hey man, I'll give your stuff a flying lifelink first strike counter. Yeah. It's like a removal spell in the command zone too, kind of weird. Like you can turn someone's commander, like if they really rely on it, you could be like, hey man, like I don't know. EDH is weird, silly format, but yeah, this this card's definitely unique, and now my gears are really turning after you said you could target your opponent's stuff. So,
yeah, this effect, I want to naturally call it silence because that's what it is.
Yeah,
making a creature lose all abilities, like that's ripe for keywording. I'm surprised Magic hasn't keyworded it with the word silence, but yeah,
give it time. Mill took them 30 years to get to.
That's true. Yeah, because this could just say when Abigail enters, silence up to one other target creature. That'd be really cool eventually to have on paper. But anyways, nice first pick.
TY.
I think it's Carver's turn.
It's my turn.
Right. Jesus, that was only the
so
card.
My first card. I know. Yeah, it might be. We'll see what happens. But so. My first card, just because Scryfall, I like to scroll up a little bit to get to it, is Prismatic Undercurrents. So it's 3 and a green for an enchantment that has Vivid. So Vivid says when this enchantment enters, search your library for up to X basic land cards, or X is the number of color among permanents you control. Reveal those cards, put them into your hand, then shuffle. This being green means you always get at least 1. And then it has another sick line of text that says you may play an additional land on each of your turns. This card is... This is the card that when I looked at the set, I actually looked at my pool when I did the thing. I was like, this card's an uncommon. Like, this card just feels very rare to me. It feels... Oh,
my God. I didn't even piece together the rarity of this. Wow.
Yeah, it's an uncommon. The art's amazing. And it's just kind of like... I don't know. Like, this card, there's so much going on in this card to me, even though it's kind of also really simple. I just start thinking about, like, shouldn't, like, every 3-color EDH deck that has green in it be playing this card? Like, it's so good. Like, I don't know. I look at this card and it's not very complicated and maybe not the sexiest, but it's just a card that's almost assuredly going to be a $5 uncommon in a few years, or get reprinted a bunch. But yeah, so I like this card a lot. But I just saw it and saw its utility, and that's generally how I see Magic, as you guys probably recognize, is usually like just, I don't know, how good a card is. And so for me, this card just scratches all that itch for a 4-mana enchantment. So I don't know. I don't really have a ton to say about it, other than, like, for some reason, a card that I compared to this card is like a card like Oracle or Moldiah, right? Where, like, that's a card where I've cast Oracle Moldiah so many times hoping for a land on top of my library to get the second land drop, and then it's not there. And this card feels like almost a guarantee. I'm going to play this card, and I'm going to get to make my other land drop. And if it's in a 3-color deck, I just set myself up for the next turn with 2 additional land drops. So, because I would get to search for 3 lands, assuming I made a land drop the turn I played it. So, yeah, this card just seems really strong. Shocked it's that uncommon. And, yeah, really like it.
Yeah, this card is wild. I'll be real. I didn't read this card because I saw... I read it. I was like, okay, 4-mana enchantment at uncommon. It's got Vivid... Oh, search your library for lands, whatever. And I didn't finish reading it because I was like, I'm not interested. Missed the last line. Play an additional land on each of your turns. Dude, this card, it reminds me of Explore, that old card draw effect from Zendikar, where it was technically from Worldwake. The 2-mana, draw a card, and you can play an additional land this turn. This card, I really like mana acceleration in this form, where you search for a land to hand, then something lets you play it, versus the ramp that's just search your deck for a land, put it into play tapped, because that's the ramp that they seem to be shying away from. It's like the one thing in Magic that's never been power crept, really, is mana ramp. They are very careful about that. There's very few 2-mana cards that get you a mana into play or a land into play from your deck. There's, like, honestly 5.
They've even been hesitant with the enchantments that do it.
Yeah.
The, like enchant a land to give just 1 mana of any color. They usually don't.
Right.
But they're reprinting them now. And as of like this set, they seem to be. And then like this is the first with Foundations they reprinted Llanowar Elves. So you're right that they've had this history of like being fast mana acceleration. They've been very hesitant.
But they've been honestly and replacing it with frickin' treasures basically. But I love this card that it fills up your hand with the lands that it then lets you play extra of instead of it just being raw, put a land into play from your deck. This card's really cool. In a 3-color deck, this thing is disgusting value. It's going to get you 7 mana on turn 5, and it fixes your mana and gives you more mana to keep playing, and
something
really
that I
cool.
always forget too with all Vivid cards is that this is in the same standard pool with the ley line of the guild pack, where all cards are all colors, so it turns every land into all basic land types. So Vivid 5 is actually relatively.
Sure.
That's the one ley line I've never understood. Like, where would this be good? And having a set with Vivid.
Damn nice card. Flew under the radar for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have anything else to add with it, so that's all I have.
This thing will go crazy in Gitrog. Holy titties.
Oh, yeah. I guess you're really
'Cause,
searching for 2 lands, but giving you the extra land drop is so important.
Yes, that's mostly what I mean, because usually those effects are also put on creatures that are really easy to kill, or, I don't know, I guess an artifact isn't necessarily any easier to kill than an enchantment, but for the most part, it feels like these extra additional land playing cards are mostly creatures that are more easy to deal with. So, this is really strong. Very cool. All right, me next. I'm gonna talk about another card for Cedrus, because I have like 7 or 8 EDH decks, but frankly, there really weren't a lot of cards that I could put in them. In this set. So I'm kind of limited. There's like basically 3 or 4 of my decks have cards that, oh my god. There are cards in this set that could only go in 3 or 4 of my decks, because there's just, that just happens. Sometimes there's a lot of misses. But this is another card that's going to go in Cedrus, and this is a big one. Twilight Diviner. It is a 3 mana 3/3. It costs 2 colorless and a black. It is an elf cleric, and it reads, when this creature enters, surveil 2. Whenever 1 or more other creatures you control enter, if they entered or were cast from a graveyard, create a token that's a copy of one of them. The ability only triggers once each turn. I mean, just ludicrous. Utterly ludicrous. Holy Christ, dude. Like, I don't know. Like, turn 3... or turn 4, you play this and reanimate and just get, 2 Inferno Titans or 2, I don't know. This card is just insane. Even if it only triggers once a turn, it's completely irrelevant. It also surveils, which is a nice little ditty if you're having a hard time milling or discarding, whatever. I don't know. Yeah, this card just kind of speaks for itself. It clones shit that enters from the graveyard, and every single creature I play in Cedrus enters from the graveyard. So this is just a no-brainer. It has to go in the deck. Absolutely has to. It's crazy.
Yeah. Sometimes you see a card and you're like, I read it, I'm like, I don't know what this does, but I'm sure Kyle does.
I mean, think about this with Panharmonicon. You're getting 4 triggers from 1 creature entering. It just doesn't make sense. Then you throw in Flame Shadow Conjuring in the mix, and you get double token creation on top. So you'd play a creature, Panharmonicon triggers Flame Shadow Conjuring twice. You could play that twice, then Twilight Diviner triggers and plays that, and you'll get 4 creatures that all trigger twice. That's not a hard thing to set up in Cedrus. That's often how I win games, is usually Panharmonicon and just playing a couple creatures.
Yes, that's true.
This is just another kind of variation of Panharmonicon, but it's even better because you actually get another copy, and the token doesn't go away. It's permanent. It's not until end of turn. It's not whatever.
Oh my god! You know what? I just kind of assumed it was a little fireball. It's not. Ugh,
no, so you the creature you unearth will go away, but the clone will not have haste It won't be. It basically won't have the unearth ability on it. It will just be a vanilla version of that creature that you unearthed. So you get to unearth, swing with the hasted guy. That one goes away. You keep the token copy. Just crazy.
Man,
it's only
Taylor,
rare, so it's going to be dirt cheap.
I'm laughing so hard at like the PTSD that Taylor seems to have around Cedrus. Like every card that comes out, he's just like guys. He's so upset. He's like, so annoyed.
Maybe I'm misremembering, but like I feel like I didn't even play Cedrus that much with you, like over the years.
It was the first deck you had tweaked that like it felt like it was the first in the next. Going from just casual, we're making our own dumb decks to like, no, this one is, we're not joking around anymore. We're like getting good at understanding all the different tools and the balancing of it. That to me was a turning point. I was still a dumb idiot playing with his action figures of like, I want to make 18,001 tokens. I don't do anything.
And Kyle's like, I'm going to do 400 damage to you off 10 different Inferno Titan triggers plus doubling damage or something like that. Or make a bunch
as soon as you put the
Utvara Hellkite or some shit like that. Make 400 dragons.
Yeah. Thank God I don't play that anymore. So boring.
The card that just says end the dial that just ends your turn.
Yeah, Sundial of the
dime.
Infinite. So cool.
That like I get nauseous thinking. Like my stomach hurt thinking about that trigger and not knowing how to get rid of it or not having an answer. It's just like giving you the ability to unearth and then like not have to pay that cost. It's just like.
Yeah, dudes.
I don't know, maybe that's why I'm so fucked up and need therapy just in general, just having to deal with you.
Cedrus,
Hey,
you should probably bring that up in your next session.
What do you think what do you think how to introduce myself? Hi, my name is Taylor Opalk and my brother likes to play Cedrus.
I'm a recovering Cedrus abuse victim.
Having to deal it's not been easy for me.
Man, I love this card for you, Kyle. I think for Cedrus specifically any deck like it, but it feels like this is the type of card that has the amplification effect on the card, that second line of text, right? Where anything coming from the graveyard doubles or makes a token, whatever. But then it also has just that light. I feel like the Surveil 2 is quite a bit better than we've really talked about, where it's like, I don't know, you could like play this on curve, hit a big creature off of its own Surveil trigger, and the next turn just go, oh, okay, I don't got to play a draw discard card. I can just do the reanimate spell right away. Like, I feel like this card is just going to enable some really screwy beginning games, and then it's just kind of, it's like the whole package. Like, Panharmonicon is a card you have to play, and then, like, almost sometimes hope your opponent doesn't mess with it, and you don't necessarily get something from it if they do kill it right away. This card, you get that Surveil trigger, it probably fuels your graveyard, hopefully, or sets you up with land drops, whatever. And then it has that amplification effect. I don't know. I just feel like this card is exactly like the Spice Cedrus kind of needed. I feel like you're always managing the number of amplification effects versus discard effects versus really those two categories, really. And this card is somewhat of both of those, or at least definitely one of them, and then kind of the other one. So, yeah, I think this card is awesome and definitely awesome for Cedrus. And this is another card I did open in my pre-release, and then I threw it right in my Fijra, the black-white reanimator deck, so it's already in there. So it fits.
Oh shit, yeah.
So it fits all over. You know what I mean? This card is definitely an awesome card for sure. So
yeah, the Surveil is definitely good. You combine any kind of setup with a payoff effect, and it's great. Like you're saying, you know, you just play Panharmonicon, it doesn't inherently mean anything. It does nothing. It's a literal do nothing card if you have no follow-up. But this guy helps you fuel its own ability. It's the same as Concoct, if you remember the Connive Concoct dual card, where it's you Surveil 3, then you return a creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. So like when you're desperate and you have no creatures to return, you can just play Concoct and hope to hit something off the top, and you often will. And you know, that type of thing is definitely worth mentioning. It's very powerful.
Yeah, and same thing here, kind of similar. Like, you could just reanimate this and get another Surveil too, if like somehow you ended up someone clears your graveyard or something, but then this enters after. Like,
oh yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I don't know, it just makes the whole deck a little bit better. I feel like having this card around. So yeah, not that Cedrus needed it, good God, but yeah.
But those are that's a good point too. Those are the type of incremental little lines of text that when you start adding them to 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 different cards in your deck, suddenly all of it works so much better. And in an age where cards are now just sort of overstuffed with lines of text, yeah, this is one of them where, yeah, you don't just have to hope Faithless Looting hits good stuff. Now it's like, oh, this is kind of like Faithless Looting-ish on a creature that also does another thing. And then you put 5 of those types of effects in your deck, and suddenly the whole thing becomes way more consistent. So, yeah, I agree. I glossed over Surveil too.
I was actually going to basically say exactly what everyone says, but in parentheses, negative. And be like, this is such an example of Magic in 2026 where it's just like, you're right, it can't just have this insane ability. It also has to be out a creature that's on or above rate and then triggers on itself. So, like, even if you deal with the card, you still surveilled too. You still got something out of it. No, yeah, but I don't say that as in this card makes me mad or anything, but, like, seeing all this into this discussion reminds me, like, that is just the level of cards being printed, and what you kind of have to be to get people's eyes these days is take those split cards and put them into one. And just, yeah, this thing's kind of crazy. Also hot.
Oh, is she? I didn't look.
I don't know. I feel someone might say that.
The lines, the text is very sexual to me, so that was getting me going. But
well, the elves are like they're like Nazis about hotness, so it makes sense.
True.
Dude, she's a cleric. She loves God or whatever. You know what I mean?
She's a godly woman, Taylor.
Dude, do you guys not know the lore of Lorwyn?
No, tell
come
me.
on.
What's up?
Oh, no, I'm serious. Like, the elves in this universe are the evil ones, and they were committing a genocide against races they deemed that were ugly.
Oh,
well, yeah, they're black aligned or whatever. They're green black.
Holy shit! The length of that after you just said they're black was so.
I know.
Please say the follow-up word.
Kyle's sweating. He's like,
like, how do I get out of this? No, I did that on purpose.
Yeah, nice. Okay, that's so good. Speaking of things that are on purpose, this segue to is it me next?
yeah.
Okay, this one. This is the kind of dumb I love. Sapling Nursery. This is an enchantment. 6 colorless and 2 green. So 8 mana enchantment. Affinity for forests.
That's the fucking
Landfall, create a 3/4 green tree folk creature with reach, and you can pay a colorless a green and exile the enchantment to give all tree folk and forests you control indestructible until end of turn. I just think this is fun. This is just force just turn your force into a deck, and anything I hate that I'm a green-blue player at heart because I just love ramp. Like, I don't care what I'm ramping to, and I just want to have as much mana as possible. So, like, anything that has landfall, make a token that's a really beefy body is really good, and reach, I think, is one of those keywords, once again, that, like, can get you some, like, free creatures. A lot of the time people forget about reach being a thing, even on Arena. People kind of forget, like, oh, this is flying, it's fine. It's like, oh, it has reach, sorry, there goes your 2/3 bird. And having a way to, the exile effect, it's kind of cool that it perfects tree folks, and, like, it's nice in that, like, if someone were to cast a Wrath, it's a way to prevent you from, like, you know, wait, no. This doesn't turn your force into creatures. I'm sorry. I misread that last pick because the fact that it gives your force indestructible. I'm like, oh, that's cute, but it does feel like it's more for a flavor thing. It's mainly just the tree folk part, but I think it's kind of cool. There could be there might be something that makes force into creatures in this, like, if not this set in this standard format that I just am not thinking of, and I'm sure in lots of EDH ways there's ways to turn your lands into forests. So lands into forests, Jesus Christ, forests into creatures. But yeah, anyway, I think this thing's really cool. Also, the art is cool, so it gets extra.
Yeah, I love this card.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of big numbers on it. Well, one big number maybe, but just but you know, it's like, I don't know, it's one of those cards that, like, is playing with all those knobs, and I think it does a really good job of getting everything in the right spot, where hopefully this card costs, 3 mana before you play your land drop, and then you make your land drop and start making tree folks. So yeah, again, thinking from, like, the way I like thinking about cards, I just see this making, like, being cheap, and then also making, maybe I'm only looking at the optimistic version of the card, But it definitely feels really strong, and the flavor of it's awesome too. With tree folk kind of rising up from playing lands and protecting your other forests and stuff. Very cool card. Like this a lot.
Yeah, see, Kyle, don't be so mean, dude.
What? It's got it's got like kind of light. It has the art is like a children's book kind of style where it's very light and nice and cute and exaggerated. This big, tree mama nursing her little baby trees. It's cute. But something like Yavimaya, Cradle of Growth, the land that makes all lands forests. Obviously a natural combo with this. If you wanted to put this in a non-mono green deck, which this very well could, because I was thinking, like, what's the minimum or maximum amount you would be willing to pay for an enchantment that has this effect? And I think even at 6, you're probably not too displeased to play this and start producing 3/4s. But you're never putting this in a deck that doesn't have crazy ramp and ways to play lots of lands anyway, so this will always be, even if it is 6 mana, you're probably playing it on turn 4 anyway because you've ramped some shit, and I don't know, I think this card is really easy to play cheaply, even in a non-mono green deck, and you're always going to be happy that all of your lands are creating 3/4 reaches. The last line of text isn't even necessary, exiling the enchantment to give all your tree folk and forests indestructible. I wish it just said creatures you control indestructible, but maybe they thought that was a little too much. I don't know.
I mean, just 2 mana give your entire board indestructible is pretty.
But you have to tough. Exile it, so you lose the effect, and it's either way. Yeah, I mean, simple card, but good. We've seen cards like this before. I can't think of. I know there's a white enchantment back from Return to Zendikar where it creates 1/1 guys. If you remember that, Carver.
Retreat to Emeria makes allies.
Maybe that's it.
Makes the 1/1 ally. Yeah. There's that one. There's Felidar Retreat, which makes 2/2 cats or
that's
anthems.
The one I was thinking of.
Yeah, that one's a little bit better. The more in line with this one, or at least in the same color as Zendikar, is Royal, which land drops to make 2/2 elementals. But that's 5 mana. That's 3 and 2 green.
Okay. You have played Royal. You had that in your Teamer Elemental deck, and it was a fucking menace. That card is awful to deal with. And so that at 5 mana, this Sapling Nursery is very easily going to be less than that most of the time, and it makes bigger, better creatures. So that's what I was trying to think of was Royal. I could see it in my head. I just couldn't think of what it was called.
Reach is awesome. Like shutting, like if you
annoying.
Played this, and then even if you have no additional land drops, or maybe you have 1 or whatever, but let's say you get to immediately make 2, 3, 4 reaches with some other effect in your green deck, like that shuts down most flyers. Just that alone, you know what I mean? So if your commander just has a annoying 6/6 flying dragon as their general or something. Like you now have
6/8 blocking power. Yeah.
Whereas like in Zendikar's Royals case, that was the card you're right, I did play before and like it. And did well with it, but this card's just leagues ahead of it. Very, very much better. So yeah, this card's awesome for sure.
Rampaging Baloths is also comparable, the 6 mana 6/6 trample, and he makes 4/4 beasts on landfall. But
this is better.
Again, it's a creature. Yeah.
This is better, right? I mean, it could be cheaper. It can give your stuff indestructible. You get 1 less toughness power, but you get the reach. I feel like this card's way better. Harder to kill. It's an enchantment. It's like resist board wipes. Yeah. Love it.
Go next, Carve.
Okay. I'm going to take a cue out of Kyle's book and talk about a deck that I was excited about for an EDH deck. And I'm also, this is a live review for Kyle to tell me if I'm way wrong. You know what I mean? Because I could be wrong. So this is for Phaedra, and it is a little bit boring because it's like the mythic rare that flips in the white. So this is Erdu, Carrier of Dawn, 3 2 whites. What? I'm excited for it.
I mean, we did go over this during our spoiler episode. Obviously, like nobody listened to that, so it's good that you're going to explain it. But like, this card is so crazy. There's no way it's not going to be good. But go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, I don't know. All right, so it's a legendary creature, elemental god, very cool. It has flying lifelink of 5/5, and then creature spells you cast have Convoke, And so this is the side that I'm excited for Phaedra. I care a lot less about flipping it. I don't know if I ever will. Maybe if I had nothing else in my hand, I would. But giving all my creature spells Convoke really makes 2 spelling really easy. So for anybody who doesn't know, Phaedra is an uncommon Orzhov commander. She's a 2/4 angel cleric with flying and lifelink. And she's two colorless, 2 black, and a white. And her key line of text is whenever you cast your second spell each turn, you look at the top 3 cards of your library, put 1 in your hand, the other 2 in your graveyard. And so the whole deck is built around being able to cast 2 spells, where in this case, with this specific card, one of the downsides of that deck, I feel like, is that it's really hard for me to cast 2 really good spells. Like a lot of times I'm casting like a Night's Whisper plus a creature that's good, or maybe a reanimation effect plus another fueling effect. This card, I feel like, will actually enable me to cast 2 really good spells, and have really, really strong turns. Obviously, maybe it is a little hilariously overpowered and busted. But I saw this card when I was looking through the set and just got really excited for Phaedra to add it to it. So, there's not a ton to say about it. I mean, it is a ridiculous 5/5 flying lifelink creature that also has more abilities than that. So it's just going to be good, maybe in general. Definitely excited.
I feel like
for Phaedra.
This is one of the cards where you would hate it if somebody else played it, because at the end of the day, it's a 5/5 flying lifelink. You're just going to win the game smacking people in the face with this. You don't need any other fucking lines of text, which, is reductive. I'm being antagonistic on purpose, but let's say he didn't have flying lifelink. He's so awesome. They've never made a card that says creature spells you cast have Convoke, I don't think, right? This is so fucking strong. And the best part is you're going to be able to hit your second cast the turn you play this thing.
Yes.
You're going to have Furia in play. You're going to play this dude, and then you're going to convoke 2 or 3 creatures to play some cheaper card to trigger Furia immediately. The other thing too, total tangent, I want to remind you how much I love Furia. I forgot about this. I love that Furia, she's like the opposite of Cedrus, where Cedrus demands setup, but then he is the payoff. He lets you unearth these creatures, where Furia is all setup. You play her, and then every turn, you're setting up your graveyard by looking at the top 3, picking the best card, milling the other 2. So there's been plenty of games where you look at the top 3 cards, you pull out a reanimate spell, and then dump the creatures that you're about to reanimate. That's so fucking cool. Oh, yeah. But it plays a little bit opposite of Cedrus, where she has no inherent ability to reanimate. So you need the cards in your deck to reanimate, but she's pure setup. She's also balanced in flying lifelink 2/4. She doesn't end the game. She's annoying to deal with. She's a good blocker, but she's not your win condition in that way. Ironically, Irdu will be. He's just a 5/5 flying lifelink, so he's going to be smashing people down.
See, that's the thing. If this was the general for a deck I was considering, I think I would hate it a lot more for the exact reason. But being in the 99, the fact it's a 5/5, flyer lifelink, okay, it's annoying. It's very good, but I don't know. It doesn't feel.
You don't always have access to it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as silly, although it is silly. Sorry, I kind of jumped ahead of you there.
God, creatures have Convoke, and there may even be a world where you want to flip this to give your stuff persist. If you're playing against a removal heavy deck, I guess they're just going to kill this anyway. But regardless, totally agreed. I love this idea in Furia, and I love that it's on curve. Furia on Furia is a 5-drop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I see. Okay. Still.
It still fits though. You cast Furia on turn 5, and then turn 6 you play this plus your second spell or whatever. I don't know. It's just this card is excellent, and maybe you do flip this if you are so far ahead you think the only way you're going to lose is to a board wipe. You know what I mean? So then you just flip it and leave it on the and then you leave it on the persist side. But I don't know. I'm just excited for this card in Furia. Can't wait to get it.
It's not as expensive as I thought it would be either. It's $6 right now. Maybe it goes up over time, but usually these cards go down. And the fucking gorgeous Omar Rayon alternate art, just absolutely stunning, is $14 if you wanted to splurge for that. But it is, God, it's so good looking. What a beautiful card.
the alt art for him.
It's just so cool.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Yeah.
To be able to draw like that.
I know. Yeah, Omar Rayon is iconic for his like watercolor kind of style. I think it is anyway. I don't want to sound like an ignorant art guy, but
You are.
yeah, that's true. I actually am.
I don't really have much to add. I think you guys have more actually insight and commentary than I do. I think he looks cool, and his head is missing. What's up? Or his face is missing.
What's up with that?
That seems a little weird.
This card, both sides have such ridiculously powerful effects that it's going to be good in any deck that could run black or white, basically. I don't see a world where this card doesn't want to be played in almost every black-white deck. It's going to be amazing in Teysa. I don't know. Everyone's going to want to play this card if you have these colors. It's so
For the
strong.
record, I would play this card probably even if it didn't have flying and lifelink. If it just said the Convoke plus the persist side, so I don't know what that says or what that means. I'm still cool, you know what I mean? I'm not just playing busted cards. I'm not only excited,
Yeah, that's what it is.
Anyway.
Yeah. Nice. All right. Oh, is it back to me?
It is, sir.
Yep.
All right. Next card I want is for Dihada, which is my Mardu EDH deck. Dihada, she's a planeswalker. Basically, the gist of her is that she's a planeswalker that cares about legendary things in play. That's the theme of my deck. Her plus ability gives a creature you control lifelink, vigilance, and indestructible until your next turn. So she's very good at protecting herself, very good at keeping you on the offense while also giving you defense. She has a minus ability where you mill a bunch of cards and then you get a bunch of treasure for the cards you've milled, and you get to return legendary cards from your graveyard to your hand. She's very, very strong, very thematic with legendary cards and life gain. So the card that I'm looking for with her is Bray of Clan Stout Arm. I don't know if it's Bree or Bray, B-R-E. We'll just call her Bree. She is 2 colorless, a red, and a white. She's a 4/4. She says, 1 white, 1 colorless, tap. Another target creature you control gains flying and lifelink until end of turn. At the beginning of your end step, if you gained life this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile a non-land card. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost if the spell's mana value is less than or equal to the amount of life you gained this turn. Otherwise, put it into your hand. So it basically has Cascade that is tied to lifelink. But it's even better than Cascade because if you can't cast it, it goes into your hand instead of to the bottom of your library if you didn't want it. She is ludicrous, utterly fucking insane, because just her by herself, paired with Dihada, means that you get to attack with her. She's life-linked and indestructible, and she will be gaining you 4 life, no matter what the opponent does. So you are guaranteed, and it's also at the beginning of your end step, so if you have another creature in play already, you lifelink it with Dihada, you can play Bree, attack with the other creature, get this life gain value at the end of your turn. She's wild, and to top it all off, she has an ability at the top that pairs so well with a card in Dihada. There's a card in Dihada called Argus Kos, whatever the fuck his subtitle is, I don't know. But it's basically when an ability or spell targets one creature you control, you can pay 2 mana to copy that spell or ability to every single creature you control. So the tech is, with Dihada in play and Agris, you plus Dihada to give target creature lifelink, indestructible vigilance, then you clone that effect to make your entire board have that. Now with Bree, I'm going to also be able to give them all flying and clone the effect. Then you gain 1,000,000 life, do her effect for even more, guaranteed to play everything, etc. I've rambled long enough. You got the idea. She is crazy good for Dihada.
Yeah, this card's awesome.
All right.
Love this card. Actually was thinking about this being a general just as a Boros. It's like one of the few Boros generals that looks like it could be really interesting because it actually could have some good card advantage to it, and it could play with some of the typical Boros cards, Lightning Helix and stuff like that. But in the context of the Hada, yes, this card is insane. Yeah, if I were you, I'd be extremely excited about it too. Just going Dihada into casting, you could have no other creatures, like you said, and just put Bray into play, and then +1 attack for 4, lifelink, immediately get to cast something, possibly for free. I don't know if you have other incidental life gain, but I do believe between her activated ability and Dihada's activated ability, her +1, you're probably gaining life every turn when Bray's around. So yeah, this card does seem sick in Dihada and sick in general. So yeah, really like to see Boros have a good card advantage base general.
Yeah, the card advantage Boros generals have been lacking for so long. I've tried to make a few Boros decks over the years in EDH, and they all sound great on paper, and then you play them and you get down to 1 card in hand and you're top decking for the rest of the game so fast. There's just such bad card advantage in Boros, so having it built into a general like this that also has a life gain theme, so it gives you another avenue to focus, like this seems like a very complete and good general.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Taylor.
I didn't really have anything else to add. I think it's just cool. I like that it's this weird workaround to get lifelink into card draw, but kind of cascade. Yeah, I don't know. And it's weird also is that, like, as a giant, it just seems not... That archetype being this card is very interesting, because it's supposed to be a reference to the guy who flings, I think, your units at other people.
Yeah, you're right. She seems like the nice wife of that guy who throws the goblins to hurt people. She like life links the sheep to heal herself. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the idea of like she's helping them and they're like it's a symbiotic relationship, and then they both benefit from helping each other by throwing the creature that can heal them and learning something from. See, I just BS'd my way into making that sound intense.
Yay.
I don't think I'm going to be very interesting about the rest of my takes here, but because a lot of the reasons I like the rest of the cards that I've picked are kind of just, they're not very like complicated rules texts or anything. So I'll start with Reese, the Evermore.
Nice.
It is a legendary creature, colorless and a white. It is a legendary elf warrior with flash. It is a 2/2. When he enters, another target creature you control gains persist until end of turn. And for white, you can tap him to remove any number of counters from target creature you control, activate as a sorcery. Anything that is basically, hey, this functions identically to another card or another thing, but done in a weird, different way, I automatically think is interesting. So this is just, keeping a creature alive, but said it's going to make it return with a -1/-1 counter. And then its weird ability of just like removing counters from creatures you control is normally not great, because most counters you have are positive on creatures you control. But in this set, with so many -1/-1 counters, even outside of his own innate card ability, this bottom text is... Each of these lines could be the card, and in theory, it would be usable. The bottom text is probably not as strong as the top half, but I don't know. I just think it's not a lot of text. It's a cool thing, and I like the ability. That's my story.
Yeah, I definitely eyed this for Teysa as well, because my Teysa deck doesn't focus so much on tokens, but it focuses more on playing and replaying cards that have value, and so giving persist to things is pretty dope. This is very limited because it's a one-time use. You have to play this thing itself, so obviously like Irdu, for example, will just be better. Perma giving my whole board persist, like, okay, that's just going to be better than this guy playing one time, targeting one thing. But I do really like this card as well. He just feels like techie and interesting, and it's cool that he can remove the persist counter that he gives something. He can remove obviously he's got synergy with the minus counters of the set. Just a dope little card. I like Reese as well.
Yeah, love Flash. Anytime I see like 2 mana, even just like 2 mana, there's another card in this set. Again, played in limited, it was like surprising at times, but just a 2 mana 2/2 flasher. So just that alone is like a it's just so fun to pass the turn with 2 mana open and just know you have something to do, and like your opponent maybe doesn't suspect what's going on, and that it's a creature, it can block, and then this guy given something persist. I don't know, just is pretty excellent. Honestly, it's I'm sure it feels a lot better in practice than maybe it looks. Like I feel like we're kind of almost, like Kyle's point was almost down on him a little bit, but I feel like it's actually really good that he has flash and then does the persist thing, because your opponent's not gonna. There's probably board states where Urdu is like, okay, I gotta dig until I can just kill the Urdu and then it's whatever. But then Reese just being unexpected, I think, has a lot of value. I do wish this card could remove counters from a player. I wish. I don't know why. I wish you could, from like other permanents or something.
Target anything. Yes.
Yeah, I wish. But still, because I don't know. Like Taylor said, I feel like most of the time you have positive counters on something, +1/+1 counters, lifelink counter, whatever. So it's kind of weird. But now the fact that you can just remove all of them at one time, I'm sure there's other cards that maybe we'll even talk about later that this card would work really well with. Is just like
like the card I mentioned earlier, the 1 mana 7/7 menace that enters with 6 -1/-1 counters. I mean, it's an amazing pairing with this.
Yeah. So yeah, for sure, you could reset the other persist creatures, reset undying creatures. Like there's definitely a lot this card can do. So definitely pretty tricky and techy. Is he evaporating? What is going on here?
I think he is. Yeah, I don't really get it because he's supposed to be the guy that's flashing in to protect something, but the art implies that he's like disintegrating, turning into like leaf petals or flower petals. So, but that's Irdu in the background, right? You see the sun creature thing.
So he might be phasing. So that might be no, I don't know. I'm looking at the Scryfall entry for the card. I was hoping maybe there was flavor text not printed on the card I'm looking at, but no, it's not. And it's not even a story spotlight card, so the context is whatever you want it to be.
You know what's crazy, Carver, is that I so heavily associate specifically 2 mana flash white creatures with you. I don't know why, but I think honestly, it was probably because of Enlisted Worm. I think you had a lot of flash shit in there or something, but I know you played Goldmane Lion at some point.
Yeah, definitely. Or Whitemane Lion. The guy you
Whitemane Lion. So yeah, like 2 mana, 2/2 flash white creatures. Instantly, I think of you. I thought of you when I saw this card.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a very specific and weird association, but
I love flash. It's awesome.
I know you do. Yeah.
Good.
It's fun. I guess also because of your blue-white enchantment general deck. I can't remember her name either.
Ifara, yeah.
Ifara, yeah, where you need to play 2 spells every turn to draw an extra card, or you need to play a creature every turn to draw an extra card, so you would flash stuff in at the end of people's turn a lot to draw your extra cards, and yeah.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Who's next?
I think it's me.
Nice.
Damn. Which one do I want to talk about next? Well,
I ordered mine.
I feel like we're going to. Talk about the card we keep referencing, and I could have piped up with the name earlier, but Moon Shadow. This is the card, Kyle, that you've been referencing, where it's the 7/7 for 1 mana menace with 6 -1/-1 counters. I love that they finally, to me, this is almost like I'm just satisfied by this card because it feels like they finally got this type of thing right, where like Death Shadow, okay, I guess if you play Modern and you're going to shock yourself a bunch of times and Street Wraith yourself a bunch of times, it's playable. But like this card actually feels like it's playable. Like you could just you can end up with a 1 mana 7/7 menace with like some difficulty, but not crazy difficulty. I don't know if I'm excited for this card for like a specific deck or something I have in mind, but like this could go in my kind of down-powered cube if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like it's not that far off from just being a good card that fits everywhere. I just like that the stats are so pushed. I like that its actual condition to remove the counters feels reasonable. I don't have a ton of to say about it other than this. When I see a card like this, I'm like, oh boy, like it feels really good. Like compare this with Hunted Troll, which is the other one that I used to play in the green black eye Varels. The 2-mana 7/7 trample, but you have to, when it enters, someone gets to make 2 centaurs, 2/3/3 centaurs. Like, this card, unbelievably better than that. And so, yeah, I like seeing a card with these level of pushedness on the stats and some intrigue to how you can get those counters off of them. Maybe Reese the Evermore is a quick way to do it, you know what I mean, which is pretty sick. So, yeah, I don't know. I see Moonshadow and I just get excited, so I like this card a lot.
I love this card.
Go
ahead, Taylor.
I was just going to say it was actually what I was going to read off at first, but I was like, I bet you someone else has Moonshadow. I doubt someone has Reese, so I skipped Moonshadow as my next, because I also, for the same reason, I just think it's cool. I love whatever, they didn't keyword this, but the like creatures that have big printed effects, but have to build up to get to that power. I don't know if there's a way to abuse that, and it's obvious, and I just haven't seen it. I just think it's I like quest cards that, like, you know, once it's in play, you still have reasons to, like, kind of work with it to unlock its full potential. I love little side quests in card games, so anything like this is always interesting to me.
I am surprised that this card is already selling for $18. Maybe there's so much synergy with it I'm unaware of, or it's going to be good in Modern. I don't know, but I'm surprised.
Every fetch land gives it +1/+1.
Yeah, that's true. And so here's the thing too, is right, like, you want this to be a 7/7, that's the end goal, but think about the progression of this card. It's a 1-drop. It's a 1-drop. So as soon as you remove 2 counters, this thing's a fucking 3/3 menace for 1, then it becomes a 4/4, a 5/5. Like, the ramp on this is crazy, but this thing starts being good and annoying as soon as turn 2. It's a 2/2 menace on turn 2, most likely. You're going to put it in a deck where, like, you drop this turn 1, and then turn 2 you play some kind of mill effect and immediately get the power starting to tick up. And, you know, any black aggro deck that can work the mill strategy into it, like playing Stitcher Supplier mixed with Moonshadow, right there you're going to get 2 mill triggers, and it's going to become a 3/3. Super cool. So this card, even without being maxed out, it's going to start being really strong very, very fast. The one thing I will say, and it would be too good, is that it only removes 1 counter per instance of milling and not per card that's milled. So if you mill 3, you only remove 1 counter. But I get why they did that, because it would probably be way too fucking good.
Yeah, because every mill effect would be +3/+3, and like,
or +5/+5 even. Like if you have the
trade-off would be like, I think the trade-off would be that make that ability only trigger once per turn, but I think this is the easier and the better gameplay kind of. I think it's super cool. And it's weird when cover said Death's Shadow, I was like, wait, is that an intentional, like, reference? I was like, I don't think it is, but it was interesting how, I don't know, that made me think for a second it was, because it cared about things, you know.
Oh, Moon Shadow versus Death Shadow? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what I was like. Is that?
Of course.
I didn't know if that was an intentional thing or not, but
I think so, because Death Shadow was the first card printed with this, like, the bonkers stat to cost ratio of being a 1-mana 13/13. So as soon as you see that, you're like, what the fuck is the deal with this? And then you go, oh, -X for your life total. Literally unplayable in EDH. You will never, ever, ever get to play Death Shadow in EDH. And it's only good specifically in Modern because it has access to so much self-burn effects that Death Shadow is only good in one format.
Did they have basic lands, not basic lands, but like lands that are just, that count as like an island that you can deal 3 damage to yourself, or else they come into play tapped? Like, the amount of self-burn now is crazy.
It's huge.
Yeah, that Phyrexian mana.
Shadow's...
Yeah, you can just like dismember.
Oh, sure.
Dismember something minus yourself 4. Like, it's very easy to get like a turn 2 Death Shadow that's like a 6/6 or something. Very scary.
Yeah, that's awesome. Dude, Moonshadow's art too, I didn't even realize that it's actually a towering monstrous thing.
Yeah.
As you look at it and it's got this cool like half halo, and it's got this kind of reddish cloak coming off of it, and it's sort of like a thin seductive looking lady, and then as you move down you realize, like, holy shit, it's attached to this giant like 8-legged monster shadow beast thing. It is an elemental, so it makes me think that this is almost like a butterfly. It's like a fake effect. It doesn't actually look like this. It's just something that it's adopted to make itself like appear less scary than it is. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. I don't know what that's called. Isn't there a term for that in nature where you...
Yes, it's used to scare off predators to make it look more menacing than it actually is. It's to trick predators to stay away from it.
Yeah, there's also an inverse where like you look more innocent than you are to trick,
to
prey.
lure. Like the famous fly trap.
Yes, that kind of thing. Like, oh, I'm just a plant. Come sit on me. Psych. So yeah,
and then you ask for their phone number.
Give me them digits. Yeah, Moonshadow, very very cool. Love that card.
So that was Carver.
That was
right?
Back to me. Okay.
Yeah.
My next card is for Hogak. I have a Hogak EDH deck. Haven't played it in a long time. Most people hate playing against it, but I still have it because I like it. The card for it is Lorwyn, Imperfect Naturalist, spelled Lluwen. It is 2 black-green hybrid mana for a 1/3 elf. When it enters, you mill 4, then you may put a creature or land card from among the milled cards on top of your library. Then it has the effect of 2 colorless and 3 black-green hybrid mana, so 5 total mana. Tap it, discard a land, create a 1/1 black and green worm creature token for each land card in your graveyard. This is just Worm Harvest, stapled to a creature. As Taylor was maligning earlier, they're just pushing effects now. It's not one effect or the other. It's 2 things. You get a card that mills and gives you card advantage, and it's also another card that already exists stapled onto it. It just does everything Hogak would want. It can be it's a win condition. It's an early game mill to set up playing Hogak. This card is ridiculous in Hogak specifically, and it will literally just replace Worm Harvest in the list. Maybe not even replace it. Maybe just be an addition. But this card's awesome. I don't have much else to say about it. I don't really like the art. It's just kind of an elf guy sitting in a tree. It's pretty
hot elf.
I told you. Does. But like he does. Yeah, that's true. He is just a hot elf. But also Harvest Worm. What the fuck? Oh, Worm Harvest is literally spelled W-O. Yes, Worm Harvest, not W-U. Okay. Anyways. Stupid art, busted card.
I actually almost put this, or it was like my number 6 on like cards I wanted to talk about, because it's like, I liked what it was doing, and I could tell that it's better than I think it is. Like, it's hard to conceptualize, but like I've seen decks that care about these effects together, and they're scary. So, I thought he was really cool. So I'm glad to hear if you think it's interesting, then it's got at least something going for it.
I can tell you a 2-drop that mills 4 is wildly strong. There's not a lot of creatures that mill that much, that cheap. This guy enables a turn 2 Hogak very often. Like turn 1 Stitcher Supplier or some other mill spell, and turn 2 Lorwyn then you convoke both of your creatures and exile your graveyard and play Hogak. I mean, he's gonna be crazy good in Hogak.
Yeah, I think in Hogak specifically, Lorwyn is awesome. I don't know if because you need to be able to delve and convoke. I don't know that in all Golgari decks, this is like, it's like knock your socks off good. I feel like it's because you don't get the card in your hand, so it's not actually card advantage. And then you do have to discard cards to be able to activate the effect, but you have to tap the card to do it. So it's not, you can't like haste it or whatever. You gotta wait till your second turn. And then the other thing, comparing this to Worm Harvest, and this is a nod towards Worm Harvest, is when you mill over Worm Harvest, you can still retrace it. When you mill over Lorwyn, you can't, like, I guess you can delve it like you could Worm Harvest, but you can't, there is maybe a slight nod to Worm Harvest maybe being better in a corner case, but I think, definitely having the body and then the ability to Worm Harvest later to then fuel Hogak or whatever, just keep the Hogak train running, is definitely a better card overall. But yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to decide, like, if I was playing would I want this card over something even like a Satyr Wayfinder in certain decks? I don't know. Probably, but just because it gets the land and puts it into your hand, I don't know if this card's like totally busted, but I do agree that in Hogak it is busted, and I would be excited for that to go in that deck.
That's why I also chose this format to pick cards for my decks, because if I were talking about, like, all the points you just brought up are very valid. I mean, the Hogak mills so much that Worm Harvest will end up in my graveyard, and it's nice to just, suddenly now I have access to a spell. Mm-hmm. Where if I mill this guy, now I can't use him. Granted, Hogak has a lot of ways to return creatures from the graveyard, because that's like the whole point, is to have this like mill or this churning effect of milling things into there, getting them out, replaying them, milling more, doing that. So the graveyard is pretty much in play anyway with Hogak, but totally fair. This guy, you could cast, if you have 10 mana to spare, you can play 2 Worm Harvest in a turn, where Lorwyn only limits you to 1.
Sure.
He is a tap effect. Yeah, Worm Harvest itself, if you're playing it just for the spell, obviously it's better than Lorwyn, but it's the fact that this guy is a big mill on a creature, and it has Worm Harvest as an ability. That's what takes it over the edge. And yeah, it's not a blatantly overpowered card, but for Hogak specifically, it is crazy. So
yeah, it's like the opposite way of Twilight Diviner, which we talked about earlier, where like, or maybe it's about the same, I guess, where it's like it fuels your deck and then also as a payoff later. So it's like, yeah, it's just like Taylor was saying earlier, how they keep doing this.
I know. Yep. Sure do. So Taylor, you said you were going to talk about this card. Why were you going to talk about him?
It just seemed really cool, and because I think one of my favorite moments was seeing, I forgot, you guys mentioned him earlier, it's the frog that like lands, you hit the sack of land, draws 2 cards. What's his name?
Gitrog.
Gitrog. Yeah.
Gitrog. When you read that card, like as a new player, you're like, this is the worst card that's ever been printed by a human being. And I have never piloted those effects, but I have seen them piloted, and it's always like, Jesus Christ, this is insane. And seeing that card, I just was like, it sent off like my spider sense of like, there's something about this, but I don't know what it is. That's why it's one of those things. I just wanted to bring it up if no one else would be like, is this card good? This seems like it's cool. And it is. It exists. And
it definitely lives in the cool world and not the really good. Like, Stitcher Supplier is probably just a better card. It is definitively a better card if you're just looking for mill. And Worm Harvest is just better if you're looking for a payoff. But if you want a slightly weaker version of both in one card, this is your guy.
And redundancy. There's something to be said about redundancy. Course, having another access to another version of that effect. Yeah. All right. I'm ready to go with my next one.
Go for
it. Hit it.
All right. This is another 1 mana dingle donger. And he goes by the name of Donhan Dissident. This is a 1 mana 1/2 elf warlock with a couple of activated abilities. You can tap Blight 1 to Surveil 1. You can tap Blight 2 to exile a card from a graveyard. And then during your turn, you can cast creature spells from among cards you own, exile with this guy by removing 3 counters from creatures you control in addition to the other costs. I just think this thing is a really cool, weird effect, and that ability, because it's not -1/-1 counters, it's just raw counters. Like, just to throw it back to Abigail at the beginning, those are 3 counters, so like, if that needed to be, though, you have to remove stuff with this card. The problem is it is way, way, way too slow. You need like 5 activations. First, you got to exile a card with him. Because the Surveil doesn't exile it. It only gets it into a graveyard that you can then exile, and like, the card is way too slow to be good. I just think that a bunch of stuff on a card with these abilities is just really fun to have as like in a deck that cares about these effects or surveilling, or it could be good tech against discard or graveyard decks as well. Kind of steal their stuff and then cast it. I don't know. I just think it's kind of a cool design. I know it's not that great.
I think the actual power of this card is you pretend the first 2 tap abilities don't exist. And you play this in a deck that is full of other blight cards that are already blighting, already putting counters, already persisted. Then you play this guy later, like on turn 6, as a sneaky little 1-drop. And now suddenly you can remove all these counters from your creatures and start casting shit from your graveyard. That's how I see this guy being played.
Yeah, the only problem with him that is that he can only cast stuff that he has exiled, and he can't exile when he comes into play.
Totally right. Yeah, no,
that's why I say he's too slow.
It's so horrible.
Yeah, so that's
oh my god.
If it was like cards exiled, or if it was like when he enters, remove target card just as a default. Like,
yeah.
See, and that's the problem now that you see when I'm saying that, like, now that because it doesn't have the payoff and benefit from being entered, he is too slow to play, and that's part of the reason I get bummed out with some of these effects that are just like 2 effects stapled on one, the payoff and the benefit, and they get them both on enter. If they don't get them both on enter, then they're too slow to be even good.
What the fuck were they thinking with this card? It's so horrible.
I don't know. No, it's not horrible. It's not horrible.
It's somewhere in the
Dude,
middle, for sure.
It's so fucking trash.
It's not horrible. Surveil is
okay. Tell me how this is good.
I think they have found. No, I'm not gonna totally defend. Like, I also wish that it just said you can just remove 3 counters and you can cast stuff from either your graveyard or exile. You know, I wish they said that. They don't. It's a bummer. But like, I still think a 1 mana Blight 1 Surveil 1 is Surveil. I think they've found is like better than you think. Like, it's pretty good. It's
powerful.
It's
especially
way better than Scry. Yeah. It's way better than Scry. It's now Blight 1 is tough, but maybe you can abuse it given the fact that it has its other ability. I don't know. I don't think this card is terrible. It's a 1-drop. It's a 1/2 that churns through your deck, fuels your graveyard, and then I do think the last line of text. It's funny that like you were framing it like if you could get this to work, like then this card is awesome, and that would be true. But I think this card is just solid. It's just like it's got a lot going on. Blight is not. I was going to speak more about Blight with my next card. I think Blight is not that bad of a downside when you have good upside, and I think Surveil is actually pretty strong. Like, again, this card's not like amazing, but like if I was playing a sealed pool or whatever, I'd play this. And then I actually ended up buying the anti-Ul Curse Witch Commander deck because I think it's like a really good. I always wanted a -1/-1 counter deck in Jund, and they finally did it. And so this card, I don't have this card. I would want this card for this deck though. Like, you know, that's the type of thing that I think it would fit right in there. So I don't know. I'm a little higher on this card than dog shit. It's maybe doesn't feel like a rare. I don't know. Maybe it's a little push for a rare, but it's a good card.
Bro, you said, and I quote, "This is the second coming of Deathrite Shaman." So you need to step up.
I think this is a victim of comparisons that, like, I think what Carver is saying is true, right? Like look at this card as it is printed. It has restrictions on it. And I think that the idea is that, like, it's not exciting, but like this thing has a really big payoff, and like for me, I'm really only bringing this up as I think it's interesting because to be fair, I'm the one who said this is too slow to be playable.
You did.
I came out and and it's more of like this is a really cool effect and a cool card, and I bet you there's some piece with this thing that are like as time goes on or in the right decks, this thing does more than you think because, like I said, it doesn't have to just be -1/-1 counters. It removes, and it does, and like you wouldn't be able to do that without a target, right? Like you'd have to have a target for this for you to remove the counters.
What do you mean?
You can't just like remove as much counters from your cards without a target for that second ability to cast a spell. You know, that's part of the cost.
Yeah, you need a target.
So you can't
it's in addition to paying their cost, so you can't just remove a counter. Okay. You're casting the creature for mana and counters.
I think that this thing is like I don't think it is good, but I think its abilities are interesting.
So like
I do wish it was like an 0/4, or like I wish it could fuel itself completely. Like I wish,
so think about this. Think about this. You played this card early, and it is massively stifling to your board. You're not going to be able to Surveil 1 every turn because you're going to be weakening your units, killing your units. You can put 1 counter on himself to make him a 0/1, but then you're just going to be stuck there. If you have a game that's focused on the early game, or if you have a deck that's focused on early game or plays a lot of creatures, like you're not going to be wanting to put counters on them, and maybe. You know, as a whole, this set has a lot of synergy with counters, so maybe the Blight mechanic is better than I think, but it looks really bad to mediocre early, and then late game, best case scenario, you play this, right, turn 4 or 5 or something, built up a board. It then has to survive an entire turn. Then you have to tap it and blight 2 to exile a creature card in your graveyard, or any graveyard. Then you can cast it. So even later, when you just have a good target immediately, you still have to wait a full turn, and this little fucker's just a 1/2. I don't know.
Well, it's a 1-drop, so I think its stats don't mean. In fact, the fact that it's a 1/2 for 1 is already better than a lot of cards
But like Carver said,
that are 1/1.
It could be a 0/3, and it would still be perfectly fine as a
I mean, the
1-drop.
reason it's a 1/2 is because it can blight itself and surveil 1 and survive. That is the only reason it has 2 toughness instead of
I feel like it should be able to do both things to itself, just to give you something. I think making it an 0/4 would have been pretty solid, but maybe that's too good against aggro.
See, that's the
or
problem
something.
I would say is that becomes a almost too good and very hard to kill, and the ability what's kind of is it creatures that it can cast?
Yes.
Yeah.
It can exile any creature, right? So you can exile your opponent's creatures from their graveyard. But the thing is, you can't spend mana as though it were mana of any color to cast the spells. So you have to be able to spend the actual colored mana on the exiled creature and then remove the 3 counters. It just seems horrible.
Yeah, I once again, you know me, I don't pick cards because they're good, so I agree with that. I just think it's interesting.
True, I forgot we were talking about cards that we like. I feel like we're talking about spoilers, so I'm just dunking on it.
It's one of those things that I think that I agree. I don't think this card is good enough, but it is cool.
Yeah, they're trying something. I just don't like what they're.
It feels like a card that I bet you they had a version that was too powerful, and they didn't have enough time to balance it to be good enough, and so they'd rather be underpowered than overpowered. Yeah, that's going to be my
They don't want another Deathrite Shaman, I think.
Yeah,
they never want that again. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think anyone has anything else to say.
I do not. Are you guys ready for my number 4th?
Yeah, let's hear number 4.
All right, so this probably, there won't be a lot to talk about with this. It's just, this is something that when I was, again, doing the pre-release and I saw this card, and then there's another card I'm going to talk about, but I'm going to start with this one card. I like this. I like how they're designing these types of cards because I think they're cool. I'm going to talk about a card, Cinder Strike. So, and this is more for limited play, right? It's more just I like how they're doing this for limited play. There's another one in black that I think is good. Cinder Strike is a 1 red sorcery. It says, as an additional cost to cast the spell, you may blight 1. Cinder Strike deals 2 damage to target creature. It deals 4 damage to that creature instead if the spell's additional cost was paid. I like this that you get a flame slash, but you have to make one of your creatures a little bit weaker in order to do it, or you can just deal 2 to something and kill it. I used both modes of this during the pre-release, so it felt really flexible and good. And I feel like that downside of having to put a -1/-1 counter feels like a fair way to keep a removal spell fairly strong, while also not being as devastating for your opponent, maybe, where you do have to see your board diminish a little bit. There's a black one that does the same thing, kind of. It's 1 and a black for exile target creature, blight 1, but you have to pay 3 additional, I think is how that card works. I could go find it if it makes sense. But I just like that trend of here's a removal spell. It's good for no blight. But if you blight it, you get a better removal spell. I think for limited play, this is like what Flame Slash maybe should have been. You know what I mean? Where it's Flame Slash is really good. 1 mana for 4 damage to a creature is just so good. That's just no downside. Yeah. Very good. This one, the fact you could get that increased power level, but you have to weaken your board a little bit. I just feel like that design space is I like seeing that from Magic. Now, I'm going to talk about another card that was in my sealed pool that is, maybe this is too much of a jump, and this is where they went crazy with it, too crazy, because this is the reason I was successful at my sealed pool, was Soul Immolation, where they try to do something somewhat similar. This is the Mythic board wipe in red, where it's 3 red sorcery as an additional cost to cast a spell. You blight X. X can't be greater than the greatest toughness among creatures you control, and then it deals X damage to each opponent and each creature they control. I feel like they lost the script with this card. If I was cool with having this small downside effect in sorcery for like a basic removal spell, that's great. But then this one is just insanity. And I know it's a mythic rare, but it's just like I think every game but one that I cast this spell, I won the game, like just basically on the spot because it's absolutely ridiculous. But more I wanted to talk about, I like the design space of Cinder Strike, where small downside gets you a really good removal spell. Basic, no downside gets you an okay removal spell. I think that's a cool place for them to go with limited design.
I'm surprised Cinder Strike doesn't let you target face. It feels like a card that would, but then it would probably have to be uncommon because it's also sorcery speed. So worst case scenario, I guess worst case scenario, it's a sorcery speed creature only shock. Like that's really terrible. Not really terrible, sorry. It's just not super good. Especially as we're comparing it to Flame Slash, which is just the 100% better version of Cinder Strike. So, but I'm glad you brought up Soul Immolation because number one, Drew Tucker art. Drew Tucker is absolutely legendary. Another massive artist in the game that's been around for a long time, and he does incredible art. He has such an iconic, cool, surreal, pastel kind of art style. Awesome. Like even Soul Immolation art is so wicked. It's like bloody-ish. You kind of just see the vague skulls of animals, but they also look like they're being immolated, but it's not like grotesque or violent, but it's very striking and really, really good art. So cool. This card is also insane.
Yeah.
It's one-sided, dude. You have to blight one of your creatures to just board wipe them and nuke them in the face. Like, pair this with Moonshadow. You're dealing 7 to them and 7 to all their creatures.
Yeah, it's insane. Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Again, this is the pushed, ridiculous version of the here's a downside. Like because you are killing one of your own creatures or possibly killing one of your own creatures. This is like the ridiculous version of it. I was more focused, and I know Cinder Strike. Yeah, obviously it's worse than Flame Slash. It's worse than Shock in a lot of contexts. It's not a great card compared to Magic's history. I just like it specifically for limited. I like the design space of small downside, get a good card. But yeah, Soul Immolation, dude. There was a game I think I had like there's so many games I won the game because I was able to have like a 14-point life swing or more by just casting this, nuking my opponent, and then like the first game in particular, it was against an elf deck, and he had the champion elf, the 6/6 that champion an elf, and if you cast a creature spell, draw a card, 6/6 for 4 mana.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
nice.
Very good card. And we're in this board stall where I'm playing the elemental deck. And he's just consistently building his board, and I know he's like right to get over the tipping point, and I draw this card and cast it and nuke his entire board and like attack around his 6/6 basically and get the win in like an almost cheesy way where like I probably shouldn't have won, but it just felt really strong. And yeah, this card is absolutely nuts. Soul Immolation is absolutely nuts.
What were you able to blight for when you were playing this?
The best I could do was 4.
Wow, and it still felt that strong.
And it was because it wiped his board except the 6/6.
Like imagine if you're playing some stupid EDH deck where you have like a Tree of Perdition in play and a 0/13, and you're just like this card feels like a Chandra's Ignition type card, but better because Chandra's Ignition actually kills all of your own shit. It's sort of an inverse of Chandra's Ignition actually. Chandra's Ignition takes the one creature and makes it blast everything else, where Soul Immolation like basically sacrifices one of your creatures to blast everything else. But Chandra's Ignition hits your own creatures. It's each other creature and each opponent. So you will self-board wipe if you don't have a way around it. And Chandra's Ignition is a popular, powerful card. And this thing almost feels like it's just better in a lot of cases.
Well, if
you're hinging,
but
a lot of cases.
I'll push on that. I think in red, typically, you're going to have creatures with higher power than you will toughness. And so at least in red specifically. So Chandra's Ignition probably has... Now, Chandra's Ignition does have to target, so it's pretty easily disruptible. Like, you just kill the thing they target and it does nothing. But Soul Immolation, it's probably a similar problem where, like, if you did have a Tree of Perdition, someone killed it in response. Now this card gets a lot worse at 5 mana. It's still maybe good, but it's not...
I don't think you can't because it's as an additional cost you blight X, so they can't respond to you paying the cost of this spell.
Oh, you're right. Oh,
like it's crazy. I guess that's a knock towards Chandra's ignition. Instant speed removal. They can kill the thing you're targeting with Chandra's, but they can't stop soul immolation.
Oh no, this card is extra dumb then. I misunderstood how this card worked. I thought you had to let it resolve and then you had to pay it or whatever, but I don't know. Yeah, you're right. It does say additional cost. So yeah, that's completely uninterruptible. Yeah, this card's insane.
Yeah, they'd have to counterspell, and that's just not going to happen in a lot of cases. Yeah. Wow, what a crazy card. I didn't know this card existed. I may have skimmed it, but kind of ignored it. But glad we got to dig into it. This is a wild one. I love the art. God, it's so cool. Drew Tucker is so good. Taylor, what do you think about this card?
One, I think soul immolation is such a visceral way to just like say what's happening to you. It's like just the word doom is just so evocative and powerful. Soul immolation, Jesus Christ, and that art combo with it. I read it as it was a board wipe, and I didn't understand why this card was printed until I, later when I found out it was a one-sided thing. It's kind of like, it's crazy because you think of most like, just think of like Wrath of God. This is like a red Wrath of God, right? Where the idea is like the whole board gets wiped, but the way this is worded is so, if you just have like a 4/4 or up to 4 toughness that you can like sap out of your board, that'll kill almost any, like almost most like board states, especially in limited. It's an auto kill plus putting pressure on the opponent's life. And like, yeah, this feels like a card that you see on the stack and you just, extend the hand. You're like, yeah, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
I'm not coming back from this coming out. But what I'll say is what I think is interesting is having a keyword that is inherently designed to be negative, that like would feel like most of the time like Blight, it would only be your opponent's creatures. Like you could only shrink, like it has to be an upside. Like every keyword, it's been so long, I feel like they don't really put keywords that are like, oh, when you see this, the card is actually detrimental to you. So I just like that, because like every set has the like kind of shock with the set expand ability on it, and I like the way Blight makes it much a more interesting gameplay decision choice rather than, so like I think about the new Innistrad one where it was a shock that if you hit the opponent's face you also got to scry 1 or 2 or something like that. Like that's such an insanely, like, I feel like less interesting decision making kind of card, where this one is like -1/-1 counters being a permanent downside versus like, I don't know, sacking a token. It's just much different, like, because sack a lot of times can just be an upside. I think shrinking creatures is almost always a downside, except obviously some niche cases, but like in general there's so many less ways to make that just a straight, like, oh, this is actually all upside for me. So I find it more interesting, therefore I like it more. But I, like Kyle pointed out, it is, I would say, not particularly like a better version of any card, but I think it is a more interesting thing. And yeah, -1/-1 tokens should, or counters should be more standardized. I love them. Blight, that's the type of decks I want.
Blight is an extremely cool mechanic. One of the cooler ones they've printed in an extremely long time. It is such a cool space to have this thing where you have stronger effects, but the downside is that you are blighting. You're putting -1/- counters on your own stuff. It just creates a whole new way to think about your board state and how you're going to, which creatures you can afford to subtract, and it's very cool. It's really cool. I'm excited to actually play with it. I haven't experienced it yet, but I'm really excited to play with it.
Something I never really thought about too is like Magic doesn't have a lot of permanent creature shrinking effects in terms of like the density of this, like have a whole set designed around the idea of like draining, because like they've been persist where things come back a little bit weaker, but the idea of like, I don't know, like kind of sacrificing the strength of an individual creature so it's not quite as powerful as it used to be, but it still sticks around, isn't, I think, there aren't a lot of cards that interact with that space in this kind of density. And yeah, and I one of those things too is like what's nice about this mechanic is that it's so backwards compatible. Just like -1/-1 counters just work with all cards that I've always written. And those are mechanics that always make me really excited that they don't have to really do anything about. Yeah, I'm trying to think of some other examples off the top, but you know what those are. Cool. Anything else? I forget what oh, that was Carver's. Yeah. Are we on? I think that are we on to the last round, the number 5s.
Yeah. Well, I have two. I have two cards to talk about for Teysa, but I don't think we need to talk about. Well, one is just cool, so I'll bring it up anyway. The first one was Kin Binding. It's not an interesting card. It's a 5-mana enchantment, 3 colorless, double white. Creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of creatures that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. At the beginning of each combat, create a 1/1 green and white Kithkin creature token. It's just cool. It creates tokens, which is good for Teysa. Teysa's very token-oriented. This card just feels like a way cleaner version of Cathar's Crusade, which is so obnoxious and tedious to keep track of. When a creature you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. So as you play more, the ones you play come in with less than the previous ones. It's a counter tracking nightmare. Kin Binding is cool, but it really is not interesting. It's just a token producer and a board buff. Very solid.
Wait, doesn't
the card I really want to?
Doesn't this still kind of have the same problem? Creatures you control get +X/+X, where X is the number of creatures that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. So it doesn't like the first creature will give all your creatures +1/+1.
Mm-mm.
No,
it's It's a one time. It triggers once.
This is a permanent effect. It's like a blanket effect that's just constantly variable.
Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll think about it while you talk about your other card. I'm trying to see if. So, like, when you play your second creature, then all your creatures get +2/+2. Your third creature, all your creatures get +3/+3.
You only care about the biggest number.
You only care about the biggest number. Okay. No, it is way cleaner then. Yeah, it is way better. Sorry to derail your train of thought there. Yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah, I could see where that. Yeah, it would be worded like when a creature enters the battlefield under your control, creatures you control get +1/+1. That's how you were thinking of it.
Yeah, I was thinking about it like a trigger. It's not a trigger. It's a static.
Right,
yeah.
Right. It's a static variable effect. So that card is good but not interesting. The actually interesting card is Mirror Mind Crown.
Mm-hmm.
It's an artifact equipment. It's 4 to play, 2 to equip. As long as this equipment is attached to a creature, the first time you would create 1 or more tokens each turn, you may instead
create
that.
Is that all it does?
Or did he cut out?
Mic not working?
Oh no!
Oh my god!
Did we lose him? Yeah, we lost him. Oh,
okay,
hello?
You can hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, my fucking Discord did that thing where I just stopped talking. I'm sure if Audacity is picking me up. So you heard me say its equip cost. It says, as long as this equipment is attached to a creature, the first time you would create 1 or more tokens each turn, you may instead create that many tokens that are copies of the equipped creature. This card is amazing for Carver's now defunct blue, or is it deck with the creating token copy thing.
Oh, yeah.
What was that?
Brutaclad.
Bremaz or Brutaclad.
Yeah.
This is probably a lot less good in Teysa, but it is a card that I'm looking to put in Teysa. Because like I said, Teysa creates a lot of tokens, but it mostly focuses on creatures that die and come back frequently, and then abusing dying effects like, wow, why can't I think of a single one? Like, when a creature you control dies, everyone loses Blood Artist. It's a Blood Artist type effect. But, like, Mirror Mind Crown making 5 Blood Artists, 3 Blood Artists every turn, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, Morbid Opportunist, drawing a bunch of cards.
Sure, yeah. Or the guy that creates treasures when something dies. The 4-mana black card.
Pirate.
What is that guy's
I can't
name?
remember the pirate's name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to bother me that I can't remember it. Expedition something, or Expeditionist, or... Sorry, we're like old people. What was the name of that guy that went to the restaurant? So anyways, this guy's cool. I like the idea of your tokens becoming... even in Cetris, this could be decent, depending on what kind of tokens I'm creating.
Never mind, this card's ass.
This card's so... Yeah. So, Mirror Mind Crown, cool. Also, cool card, Dan Frazier. This is what I brought up earlier. He's a classic artist. This art is what you would call old school Magic art. It's got wonky perspective, vibrant colors, Very high fantasy looking, but it's got a really bland, blank background, but the character is highly detailed and interesting. Like, this is classic Magic art. It's just so cool. Very simple art, but it's really, really cool. Dan Frazier's the freaking GOAT. He did all the Moxes, I'm pretty sure. No, wait, that was... Yeah, no, he's been doing art since like Alpha and Beta. He did the original Sacrifice art, Gloom, Earthquake, Fire Breathing.
Wow, Fire Breathing.
Yeah, he did do all the Moxes. That's right. Yeah, Dan Frazier. He did all the Moxes. Damn, he came back. Holy shit, it's actually dawning on me now how cool that is. He's like one of probably the only actual original artist left doing Magic art. That's really cool. So anyways, thoughts on this card?
I saw this card. It makes me think of Helm of the Host, which is kind of cool. There's actually play Helm of the Host and this play kind of weird together. The clone that you would make isn't actually going to be of the Helm of the Host creature, but of the Mirror-Minded Crowned creature.
Yeah, at the beginning of combat on your turn, create a token that's a copy of equipped creature. No, they both kind of do the same thing. But Mirror-Mind Crowned is probably actually better than Helm of the Host. Well, no, it's not. Because it creates the tokens itself, where Mirror-Mind needs something else to create the tokens.
So they're just similar. It's just kind of a cool effect that they would both be fitting in the same deck, same archetype.
Do you have a way in Teysa to like explode a bunch of tokens? Like, what's the biggest number of tokens you can make at one time?
I guess that's true because this does say the first.
Not
time,
to put
so
you on the spot, but I'm trying to think of like, what card do you have that like goes big with tokens when something dies?
No, I definitely don't make like 50 tokens. I'm usually making 3 or 5, or I'm creating them incrementally over the course of a turn. So yeah, actually, this card is probably not good enough for Teysa. And again, I already even said that the cards it's cloning probably aren't going to be that strong anyway. But a bunch of blood artists would definitely be cool and good. But if I had to put only one card in the deck, I would probably pick Kin Binding over Mirror-Mind Crown, because Kin Binding is just always going to be good. It creates a token every turn, perma buffs everything every turn. Because it creates a token, it always gives power toughness to your board, at least +1/+1 every turn. But regardless, Mirror-Mind Crown is a card worth mentioning because of the artist alone, let alone the cool ability, Helm of the Host adjacent type ability.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely good. I mean, Helm of the Host, another thing is Helm of the Host costs, 9 to do anything with? You have to pay 5 and then 4, I think, to get it to do anything. So this just being 6 mana, it's not that big of a cost, and then you get that effect a little cheaper. I think it's going to be very similar, right, in many decks like we've been talking about, but yeah, Mirror-Mind Crown is definitely pretty good. Definitely really good, for sure.
That's all we got. Go ahead, Taylor.
All right, my little one-sentence horror story card I wanted to shout out is Scuzzback Scrounger. The classic. He's a 2-mana colorless and red for 3/2 Goblin Warrior, and at the beginning of your first main phase, Blight 1, and if you do, create a treasure token. I just think it's really cool to like kind of sap up your little goblins, because goblins love getting killed and shrunk. So like Blight is mainly an upside in a lot of goblin decks. So this card is just like a cool, weird thing. And once again, in like goblin decks going backwards, this just seems like it could do help a lot. It seems like it's really cool, kind of outside of the environment it was created in too. But the big one I want to talk about is my boy, Old Man McTree, Doran, Besieged by Time.
Yeah.
Just because this obviously is what I like so much too about this design is it plays well with the other Doran, but I'll just read what it does. It's a colorless white, black, green, 0/5 legendary tree folk druid creature. Each creature spell you cast with toughness greater than its power costs 1 less to cast. And whenever a creature you control attacks or blocks, it gets +X/+X until end of turn. where X is the difference between its power and toughness.
Did you just take a Xanax? What the fuck is going on?
I'm trying to be slow and clear, so it's a lot of like numbers and like variables. I'm trying to be clear, all right? I could read it like a normal idiot, but I have class, okay?
Yeah, he's not an idiot. He's got class.
Yeah, exactly. There was a comma, you just didn't see it. But what I like about this guy is that the other Doran is just like, oh, dudes fight with their butts, where the toughness matters. So, and normally those creatures are like, 0-5, 0-8s, 1-6s. And then so those creatures are going to now get even stronger, like kind of double up in a lot of cases. And even if you don't have the other Doran in play, like this thing's bad and most, like the average creature would not benefit from this effect, or at best +1/+1. So I just think that this thing is just weird. Obviously, Commander design, it does not give a shit about the set it's coming out in, except that tree folk tend to have bigger toughnesses. But I just think it's really cool. The art is also old. This thing is so sick. It's like this dying old tree. I don't know. I like it.
Carl Critchlow, amazing artist. He did a lot of art during the original Shards of Alara. Tons of Grixis art specifically. He has wicked cool art. Yeah, he's an awesome classic artist. We love Carl Critchlow. He did a ton of art.
Kyle, what do you
Lorwyn
think?
Too. I love Doran. I like that they made him work with his old version as well. It's not you kind of use one or the other. They both work well. The other one makes your creatures do damage equal to their toughness, and then this guy gives you +X for the difference. So your 0-5 will attack as a 5/10, but then deal 10 damage based on its toughness if you have the other Doran in play. So I like that they synergize well together. Yeah, the Doran Besieged by Time, his first line is a little odd. It just makes everything a little bit cheaper. It's kind of nice, kind of cute. Doesn't help that much, but it's just a little nudge.
It feels like I was referencing this earlier. It's almost like the original design didn't have that top text, and they're like, we got to push it a little bit more. How do we make this a little bit better? It was like, oh, don't make it cheaper. It can make other stuff cheaper, I guess. I was like, yeah, okay, that seems good enough now.
Yeah, if they were to follow the original Doran, they wouldn't have that first line, and I think it would still be totally fine. But yeah, everything's got to be a commander now, so they got to give him this like little tribal boost, and then also give him the power toughness theme. But yeah, regardless, I like the art the most by far. It's really, really cool. It almost looks like he's made of sinew. He's like purplish and reddish. But he still looks like a tree, but he almost looks like like a de-skinned person with dying muscles. Like, it's hard to explain, but it's a pretty wicked art, and I really, really love that. Also, despite not having a deck with these colors, I love Abzan. It's one of my favorite color combos, but I just don't have a deck with it.
To me, I always love Abzan because it's like, what if Timmy was a reanimator?
Yeah, sure.
That's kind of the speed it goes for. Well, Carver, you haven't said anything about this tree.
I think he's really cool. I think there's this is again the type of card that when you see it, you're like, especially that second line of text. Yeah, the first line of text, I agree with you guys. It's kind of like, I don't know, a way to maybe differentiate him from the first Doran and get up to current EDH standards. But kind of not really what you're looking at this card for. That second line of text, it's the type of thing where your gears just start turning about like, isn't Shield Sphere a 0/6 that doesn't have Defender? I know it's an expensive card, but like you know what I mean? Like cards like that are like you just start thinking about as like become powerhouses with this card as its general. And so I don't know, it's definitely, at least for an EDH perspective, something that makes my gears start turning in my brain, and very cool design, much stronger than the other Doran, like by a lot. I know we talked about how these cards play well with each other, but maybe not. I guess because you need them to have the big difference in power and toughness. Maybe they are just different, but it feels like this is way stronger than the other Doran.
I think what makes this one better is that it also benefits creatures that are just like, I don't know, 2/4s, 1/3s, the way that like the toughness matters only. They're not like that strong toughness wise, but the difference is bigger.
This guy, Oh, go ahead.
The last thing I was just going to add was that he doesn't turn off Defender. That's the only downside.
Yeah.
Right. So all the biggest assed creatures are still going to be defenders.
Mhm.
What I will say is he feels like a strictly better version of the other Doran. And the reason that is because in effect, this Doran gives your creatures, it turns their power into their toughness. If you have a 0/5 and you attack, it becomes a 5/10. So its attack becomes 5. If you attack with a 2/3, it gets +1/+1, turning its attack into 3. Whereas the other Doran literally just says do damage equal to toughness. These both do the same thing in effect, but this one just scales better. Because your 0/6 actually attacks as a 6/12 instead of just a 0/6 that does 6 damage based on its toughness.
You know what? The more I'm looking at this, it feels like they just straight up did a reboot. This is like the straight to Netflix kind of reboot where they try to reimagine how do we make that ability like work in modern Magic. It's like, it makes it so that they're still kind of like doing toughness is the thing that matters, but now their power scale. So now a lot of cards that care about power, it allows us to like, if you don't have the payoff of like you assign with toughness only, the cards that are like, 4/8s are still insane, rather than, I don't know if that makes sense, but this feels like it's going to work better with a lot more cards because it's also scaling power instead of just looking at your toughness and that's it.
Yeah, I think he's strictly better than the original one, but he also
Yeah.
pairs well with the old one because this guy with the old one effectively doubles the toughness of everything you attack with, so it doubles their damage.
Oh, that is interesting. It's like it's a weird way. They are able to do the same ability, but they stack because of the way they're worded.
It's very odd, and it's pretty smart by WotC to figure that out. But yeah, like this guy, he attacks as a 0/5. He'll get +5/+5, turn into a 5/10, and then the other Doran makes him do damage equal to his toughness, so he'll end up doing 10 damage.
That's really cool. I hadn't thought about how perfectly like interlaced those rules. And that's the type of stuff that's how I know I have mental illness. Is like, it's just like seeing that stuff, and like that's the stuff that makes me think it's so cool. It's like, oh, I guess I don't know how it plays. Who gives a shit how it plays? But man, those rules, ooh, baby.
Yeah. Well,
all right, that's it for me on Doran before I get too hot and sweaty over here about this tree. I'll give you bark. You know what
Each year that passes rots you with scars. Shelter your heart, for the world is cruel. I don't hate that flavor text. Kind of cool.
He's just a sweet old guy. He's just
Same,
be careful.
brother.
Just be careful out there, man. Time is a bitch.
Yeah,
that's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Instead of B siege, you should be C sieged. Like the letter C instead of the letter B.
C. I don't get it at all. Am I dumb? I don't understand what.
No, it's so stupid that you not getting it proves you're smart.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, it was such a bad joke. All right, Carver, what's your last card?
Okay, this one is probably a little boring. I have two choices.
Oh God,
it's probably.
I do have an honorable mention that I'm going to talk about it.
Okay, cool. Well. The card that I look at, and another one that I'm like, how is this an uncommon? Twin Flame Travelers. The two generic, a blue and a red for a 3/3 flyer. If a triggered ability of another elemental you control triggers, it would trigger an additional time. Put simply, I see this card, I think about Muldrifter, and I just get really excited. So it's the type of thing where it's like, this card is, again, I can't believe it's an uncommon. This actually wasn't in my sealed pool, and I wish it would have been. I didn't even know this card was a thing until like after the pre-release, you know what I mean? As I was looking through the spoiler and prep for this. But yeah, this card's insane. It's just there's so many elementals with amazing end of the battlefield abilities or cast triggers or whatever. Or maybe cast doesn't play because it's not, you don't control it yet. But yeah, there's just so many end of the battlefield abilities that you want this card with. So I look at this card really exciting. If I wanted to put back together Omnath, Locus of Creation, it would trigger its landfall ability multiple times. So there's a lot of things I see this card, just endless possibilities, but mostly, if I'm being honest, it goes back to Muldrifter, where it's just you get to draw 4 cards for 3 mana. It's unbelievable, you know what I mean? Just see this card, get excited for elementals and all the possibilities of it, but pretty simple one though.
Very cool art too. I like the twin flame. It's sort of like a blue elemental and a red orange elemental kind of flying through the air together, and one looks sad and one looks happy. It's cool cool art for the name, twin flame. Yeah, very cool card. Certainly limited in power based on only triggering on elementals, but this set printed a bunch of elementals, and changelings are elementals, so they will trigger twice. There's plenty of elementals.
Elementals all have evoke with enters trigger, so it's like obviously that of all the creature types, it's like one of the better ones to have that on, especially in this format.
Yep. Yeah, this is a cool guy. I'm not too surprised that it's an uncommon. It is a 4 mana. And it does only trigger on, I don't know, it doubles triggers. You'd think any kind of trigger doubling thing would just automatically be rare. That feels like a rare effect also, no matter what, but.
Isn't it crazy? Is the 4 mana 3/3 flying?
True,
with
yeah.
That effect?
You'd think it would be a 2/3 or a 1/3
certainly not
or
with
something.
Flying, though. Yeah, that's just really surprising. It's really. You know what? It's creepy with how much power.
Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's an
nice.
uncommon. It's a good one for sure.
What was your other your honorable mention you didn't quite get to?
Yeah, one more card.
Not you, Kyle.
Okay.
Well, Carver was trying to pick between 2 cards, he said. I want to hear what his other
thought
was.
So my other thought, and this is a card I played against at the pre-release, and I don't think we touched on any of these, actually, except maybe Urdu, which kind of doesn't count, but Sig, Wanderwine Wisdom, these flip legendaries that are cheap. So Sig is a 1 and a blue legendary creature merfolk wizard. Sig can't be blocked. Whenever this creature enters or transforms into Sig, target creature gains. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card until end of turn. And then at the beginning of your first main phase, you can pay 1 white and then transform him. And when he transforms into his white side, it says Sig, Wanderwine Shield, target creature you control gains protection from each color until your next turn. And again, he can't be blocked. I wanted to talk about these, because I watched my opponent play this in 2 of the 3 games that I had against this guy, and this card just looked like it would be so much fun to play in limited. There's a lot going on, so that that is a problem, right? This card just has so much text, it's ridiculous, and it flips and has a lot of text, it's ridiculous. But the feel of him, it just felt like, I'm sure from my perspective, is man, that card's just doing so much work, and it's flipping and coming back into play and triggering other effects and and just chipping away early. It's a card you can play really early, and it doesn't feel like it's ridiculously overpowered, but it also is really good and just it was just such a presence in 2 of the 3 games we played that I don't really know how to articulate it in a way that of a powerful card or something. I'm not even sure I'd want to make this a commander deck or anything. I just really liked how strong this card felt and how these flip effects just felt really engaging throughout the course of the game. You're always making a decision on your main phase. Am I going to flip this thing? Am I not? I played against another one, the green one that flips into the green elf, the 3/4 Tristan, I think his name is.
The death touch guy, and he mills and gains life and loses life for elves. And
another one of my opponents played this guy, Tristan, Callous Cultivator, for 2 and a green, 3/4 death touch. When it enters, transforms, you mill 3 cards, and if there's an elf in your graveyard, you gain 2 life. You can pay a black in your first main phase to transform him into a 3/4 death touch. When he transforms, mill 3 cards, and you can exile an elf and make each opponent lose 2 life. Then you can flip him back for a green on your next main phase. These cards just, I guess, I don't know, they just felt really cool in game. And I didn't have it, my opponents did, but just they kept having decisions to make and things to do, and they were moving through their deck a lot, and it just, I don't know, I just kind of liked the momentum these cards gave my opponents, it felt like, and so I don't really have a power argument to say about it. I like that these were pretty cheap cards, in mana cost, they were pretty easy to get on the board, and then they did so much throughout the course of the game that it felt like they were totally mentionable in this podcast. But yeah, so those were, I guess, so I kind of cheated, Taylor, and went into 2 different cards. But yeah, it was mostly that these flip cards that just, these legendary flips that just did a lot of stuff throughout the course of a game. I just kind of want to talk about them, but I don't know if you guys have thoughts on these cards.
I'm glad you we talked about some of them during the spoiler talk. Sig did not seem that powerful but it's hard to not be powerful, I feel like, when both sides of your fucking card are full, the text box. It's like guaranteed to be doing something. So I'm glad you had a positive experience. Yeah, I mean, a 2/2 unblockable in itself is going to be a clock. That's going to be annoying. And then the one side gives you card advantage and the other side protects your shit. Like, you could flip him into this thing and then give your 5/5 protection from the color that your creatures are. And then suddenly he now has, instead of this 2/2 unblockable guy, he in effect made his 5/5 unblockable. And suddenly you're taking way bigger hits. But it's not every turn. It's only once, because then he has to flip it back to then draw cards. And yeah, that does seem fun. This seems like a fun version of the day-night cycle where you're not.
Yes.
Like, is it fucking day? Wait, did you cast 2 spells since the end of my last turn? Like, all that. God, the day-night shit is so horrible. I hope that never comes back.
So this to me feels like the first draft of almost a new cards type, or a way to, because the bottom text of every card feels so wordy, because it's like just clunky rules text of just like, at the beginning of upkeep, you pay the opposite color and you can transform them. And it's like, if they can figure out how to keyword this into like, compulsively transforms white, it's just like some kind of weird, but like, I like that both sides of the effects are like kind of mirrors of each other, which is just like a very kind of aesthetically pleasing thing, but they're little enough where they're not majorly impactful, but they enable certain archetype, like this, the elf one, about that they want milling to happen, and the way that like one side is like kind of keeps you alive and the other one's the offense versus defense, and like with the white blue one, where they're basically both ways that you get the card into attack, but it's like through different methods. It's one of those things that I hope they do more of, and I feel like when they come at this again, they're gonna reiterate it to be more clean, because like it's hard to wrap your head around what the full breadth of the card can do on a board state the way that it's printed now. So I feel like there's the next go at it, it's going to be cleaner, because I have a hard time wrapping my head around like what one individual card can do a lot of the time. Sig's like very wordy in particular. The elf one I think is really good. It's like, you mill for the green side, you gain life. The black side, they lose life.
Yeah,
by killing a card.
Simple.
So, I know there's the Kithkin one. I'm sure is kind of straightforward. But at least for like Sig, they're like so hyper specific. It's hard to keep straight. But it reminds me of the Strixhaven Deans, where they had 2 legendary dudes on both sides, and like they were both really cool. But just like, it's so hard to even understand what this one card does that I almost get like, I'm not gonna read your card. Like the Keanu Reeves, and you're like, too long. I'm either happy that I'm happy for you, or I'm sorry that happened. I'm just not gonna read it. Just pick whichever but in any case, I think they're really cool, and I hope they do kind of like a cleaner second run at something like this, because I like this transforming as like every individual card has its own rules on transformation, rather than it being a game state that like is affected by other things. It's just,
yeah, I mean, that I love your point about day-night cycle, Kyle, where it's like this is the fixed version of it, where day-night you're constantly like, for some reason it's like surprisingly taxing to like think about like, okay, did you cast 2 spells? Oh no, you activated a thing and cast a spell, so no. Like it's very weird, but the fact that like these just kind of control itself and let you do it, it absolute improvement. And I agree with you, Taylor. It'd be nice if they could truncate how they have to word it to get it to work a little bit, where it's not as wordy. But I'll just say, like, in practice, I get that these visually, I get how these cards are would look like a ton of work. And don't get me wrong, it takes a read or two the first couple times. But once your opponent is going back and forth between them, like, I guess in practice, these aren't as complicated, I think, as they might seem, just because they're flip cards with tons of text. Like, they are pretty intuitive. I don't know, like, I wish I had one when I was watching my opponent do all this cool stuff, and my opponents do all this cool stuff, and I'm like, man, I want one of those cards. Like, it just felt like they had tons of options and were constantly interacting with the board and doing stuff. So I just think these cards are worth it.
I'm looking at the Kithkin one, and it's one side is create a 1/1, and the other side is it's a mana dork equal to the number of creatures.
It's a Gaia's Cradle.
Yeah. But when you it's a green or white Gaia's Cradle, which is crazy. But like when I see all this text back to back, it's hard to think about it. But you're like, oh, these work together. One is like you build up creatures, and then, but yeah, Sorry, we went on a long tangent with that, but I really like it. It's one of those things that like I don't know how you come up with this like tech for a card game like that. I think it's just cool, and I hope it's. I think the toughest part is both the planeswalkers have it. And I think that's the hardest thing to make me even care about the planeswalkers. I'm like, there's just too much mid. Each ability is like not that good because it has like 18 separate abilities on it. It's like okay. I'm sure your bad Oko are good. I don't care.
Yeah, Oko is a whole different thing. Of fucking flipping planeswalkers, ludicrous. But the last card I wanted to mention is a card that I really had no idea existed until just today when I was looking through all the cards. It's called Sunder Flock. It's 7 colorless, double blue. It's an elemental. This spell costs X less to cast, where X is the greatest mana value among elementals you control. It has flying. When this creature enters, if you cast it, return all non-elemental creatures to their owner's hands. This card feels like an unbelievable bomb that just flew under the radar. It sounds fucking insane. Like, if you just have a 4-drop, a 4-cost elemental in play, this thing costs 5 mana for a 5/5 flying that will likely one-sided bounce the board? What is this? This thing's crazy.
The only reason I was not that crazy about it is, remember Cyclone Summoner from Kaldheim?
No.
It's like a 7 mana 6/6 giant that bounces all other non-giants when it enters.
Okay.
And so like I remember, and I know they're not quite the same because there's the mana discounty stuff, but like it was pretty good, just not insane. But maybe the mana cost difference is going to be the deal breaker. So that's why I was kind of like, I've seen this effect before and it's always sounds better than it ends up being, because the other one was really good because it like ended games on its own. You just play that into a second one, like it's kind of like, what are you going to do against 2 like 7/7s? I don't know, like, and you have to bounce all your creatures, like it just takes too long. But this one's like flyer, so that's just as good. So yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I mean, you just elicited a point that this thing scales ridiculously well into itself. If you can get one of these down, the next one costs 2 mana. 2 mana 5/5 flying that bounces all non-elementals.
That seems really bad. Why would you want to bounce non-elementals?
At the top end, this guy is tough. 9 mana, if you're top decking or if you get board wiped, if you're on the back foot, this is extremely hard to deal with. It's probably a pretty bad card to draw. But you don't have to be ahead at all. You can have literally 1 elemental in play, and it will discount this thing enough to be fair. I will pay 6 mana for this effect. If I have an elemental tribal deck, and I can cast Sunderflock for 6, meaning it's only discounted by 3, that's so easy. And you put this in the deck with the new elemental, the Wooburg Elemental General, that makes all of your elementals have evoke for 4.
Ashling.
Talk about broken. If you just evoke this thing and ignore the cost of it altogether, basically, or just any elemental deck where this can be played, this guy's gonna be bonkers every time you play it. Just crazy cool. I love the name too, Sunderflock. Very, very dope card.
I also read this when I was reviewing it today. I'm like, this seems kind of crazy. I assumed someone was going to put... I also tried to not put cards that I just saw that I felt like were just objectively like, this seems just like good. I try to find more weird stuff.
You have to have it in an elemental deck, obviously. Because it does have the clause where if you cast it, you get the effect, so you can't cheat it into play. Like with Cedrus, for example, it's very not good in that. It wants you to be in an elemental deck, and it wants you to be casting this. But Evoke is a cast. It's an alternate casting cost. So if you can ever evoke this out, it still counts. Super cool card.
I'll tell you what this card's not good against. Omni Changeling.
True.
We're going full circle, baby. We're going back to one of those little line of text that you just don't pay attention to, and then it's like
you're totally
and then
right.
It's like, oh crap! You think you have the board wipe that's going to sweep your opponent. You're like, actually, my Runescar Demon scays because it's actually a changeling.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally true. Yeah. And to be fair, this would be terrible against Cedrus because I just continue to play all my bombs or rediscard them and unearth them, and you'd be fucked. But enough about how awesome Cedrus is. Anyone else have honorable mentions?
Nope, all mine got mentioned.
Big mentioned.
Sweet. The art for Sunderflock is terrible.
It just looks. It looks like
that.
what, a lizard bird? Like, what's going on here?
And the perspective isn't good. You can't tell if this thing is big or not. Like, I guess there's waves underneath it, but I can't tell if it's close to me or right above the waves. So I have no sense of scale. And there's like derpy looking ducks flying next to it. And this guy, he's just an ugly. He's got like a mermaid. I don't know. It's an ugly ass card. All of it is just it's not good. But cool card. Really cool card. That's it for me. I got nothing else, boyos.
Yeah, that's it. I've got nothing. I feel satisfied. Satisfied.
Satisfied or satisfied?
Wait, so what's the
just-
next set? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and then Avatar,
even say
Avatar
that.
2, or
Don't even stop talking, dude. Stop talking.
I'm trying to decide.
Oh my god, we're talking about Magic.
I'm trying.
So I will tell you, in March we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Then in April it is a return to Strixhaven, which is why they had the those students.
Oh, the
like
first year.
like Abigail.
Yeah.
Those are like the
Yeah.
lead-in. And it's kind of that's why that's the story of Lorwyn is Ajani had like took them to Lorwyn to like
school
train them. Yeah, to school them. And then in June, it's the Marvel superhero set. And then August is The Hobbit. And then October is Reality Fracture. They won't, there's literally no detail, but that's in universe. So, that's the last. So what we have for in universe is a return to Strixhaven, but it's not going to take place in the school. It's like out in the world. So it's not like a Harry Potter themed set as much as there's just, so I think that one might be interesting. I'm just being optimistic because that's the only other set that we have. Reality Fracture.
I was going to say we're not going to talk
Well,
for another year. Then it seems like
Yeah, we're not talking about Magic for a fucking year. That's crazy. Holy
I'm
shit.
kidding. I mean, hey, you
Well, at
never
least we
know.
got it out of the way.
Maybe Captain
early.
America is cool.
No, we'll
I
do-
don't know.
No. We're gonna
Kyle
do,
won't do it. Even if it is good, I don't think Kyle's hubris would allow him to just be like, no, these are cool designs. I think he hates Marvel too much. Final Fantasy, I think he was willing to be like, actually, this is kind of cool. I just don't think for Marvel he's willing to put down that.
Can't be spoken of here. We can do more Magic, like the stuff that we used to do where we redesign a card or we pick a certain card based on other contexts.
We could do this about old sets. We could do this like, I don't know.
Yeah.
What's your favorite 5 Betrayers cards?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that's what we'll have to do for the next year or so while Magic sorts
This will be
itself out.
a look back kind of year instead of a look forward.
Yes. All right, that's it. Good chat, fellers.
Nice talking to you, boys. This was
Thanks
fun.
for coming with us, Carver.
Yeah, it was my pleasure. It was a fun set to talk
Right.
about. Super stoked for it.
I wish I could.
All right.
I bought a box. Wish I could play with you guys, but
Well, I guess the box will show up one day.
yeah,
You have a whole year to wait for it, buddy.
yeah, I guess.
All right. Well, until next time.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
dudes.
Bye bye.